man, leaving us out here all by ourselves. Y'all supposed to be so-called leaders, so-called Negro bourgeois. Nah, Uncle Tom. What's wrong with y'all anyway, man? Y'all come out, you talking about buying a new house, y'all be buying some guns, some ammunition, man, for this revolution. You talking about moving to a new community, a new house? How you gonna, what you gonna do to a new house? New houses and clothes and all. What you gonna do with all that old stuff, man, when the stuff come down, man? Your kids. What's wrong with, what's about the rest of the kids, man? You ought to stay out here, man, and help somebody. Yeah, rebuild it, man, from the ground up, man. This, man, you know, construction and all that. We got people who ain't got jobs, man. Need homes. Good niggas, huh? That's what you gonna be down here? What you gonna be down here, huh? Man, you miss this black dignity thing, this black pride, man. You doing good. You good niggas all alike, man. I don't know what's wrong with y'all, man. Yeah, bourgeois. You Tom. You tell me a Tom, huh? Good nigga. Okay. Wait on then, Uncle Tom.
The black militants feel very often that the so-called middle-class Negro is the same as the middle-class white man. He's indifferent to his problems.
I think the militants are against Negroes moving into a middle-class neighborhood and trying to lose their identity.
It's difficult today to be a middle-class Negro because we're sort of in between. The mass Negro, we say here, is usually hostile toward us, and also the Caucasians are also hostile to all groups, so we are part of that hostility. We have gone so far being poor, and finally, when you get this chance. Get above the ghetto, get above the slums. You're happy, you're enthusiastic about it. And finally, you think that you have made it into America, the American society.
Upon that type of Negro, if they were like the Negro that works for me, a fine, upstanding woman who is proud of being a Negro, proud of her race, clean and industrious, no, I would not mind.
But some of them, they're real dirty. But I wouldn't mind it if, you know, they kept the neighborhood clean.
Well, I think most of them don't keep themselves clean. I think the majority of them let their houses run down and everything.
I'm not in favor of either forced segregation nor forced integration. I think that people should be able to decide this for themselves. My personal preference would be to have white neighbors, and I would not sell to a colored individual, nor would I buy next to one if I could avoid it.
I think that really basically there's a big thing of inferiority and superiority going here, that everyone subconsciously really believes that the Negro is inferior. And this is wonderful because it makes all white people so superior. And you have this marvelous feeling of being just a little bit better than all these black people. And consequently, when you have the black people moving into your neighborhood, it suddenly, the bottom drops out. I mean, if these people can move in, then obviously your neighborhood is no longer what you thought it was. It's no longer really very valuable to you.
There were 1 million black boys last year that wanted to play in the NBA. Of that million, only 400,000 will even make it to play high school ball. Of that 400,000, only 4,000 will be able to make it to play college ball. Of that 4,000, only 35 will make it to the NBA. Of that 35, only 7 start. And the average life in the NBA is 4 years. So the real problem is we have 1 million brothers looking for 7 full-time jobs that last 4 years. And yet last year we had 100,000 jobs available to be a computer programmer, engineer, or doctor, and only 1,000 brothers qualified. So our appeal to black males is to realize the odds. That you do most will be that you do best. I mean, we were the first doctor, not Hippocrates, Imhotep. So we have the ability either in math or science or music and sports. But that you do most will be that you do best. If you play basketball from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you'll be a very good basketball player. If you went home and went to the library, you'd be a very good scholar. We need more black male role models that will encourage our youth in math and science.
Ishmael.
To the media.
Well, there's no question that there's a direct relationship between images and self-esteem. It goes all the way back to Tarzan, to Superman, to Rambo, to Batman, to even painting the image of Jesus Christ as white. I mean, you can't separate racism from anything. So it's not unlikely then that you have Pope Julius commissioning Michelangelo in 1505 to paint Jesus Christ white. Images control self-esteem. Abraham Lincoln found out very early, when you have 300 slaves on a plantation and one master, it takes a lot of work. Why don't you let them go? But don't teach them who they are. Control their history. Control their images. Then you won't have to watch it. Whoever controls the mind will also control the body.
Let's talk about
I like to reinforce that America spends $2,300 on Head Start. To reinforce your point, they spend $20,000 to $38,000 on prison. So I believe we need to raise the right questions. How long do you stay in Head Start? Year? 2 years at the most? How long do you stay in prison? The rest of your life? Question number one. Question number two, which one works? A longitudinal study documents that Head Start works. But in terms of prison, 85% of inmates to get released go right back in. So as Jesse Jackson says, we have two choices, middle-class white America. You can either send me to Penn State or the state pen.
I don't expect institutions in America to project positive black male images. Black male images are created through revolution, through fighting to change the kind of oppressive conditions that have existed here and that exist. And the positive images that we all can be very proud of are movers such as Dr. Martin Luther King, and historically Nathan Private Turner, Denmark Vesey.
What about the Black Panthers, Hugh?
The Black Panther Party, notwithstanding.
Wasn't that a great boost to the black men in this country?
Well, we think so. And of course, we were wiped out systematically. There were about a million pages of information compiled upon me alone. I don't know how many millions of illegal. I don't know how many illegal break-ins, but I know I suffered at least 20 or 30 illegal break-ins. There were FBI documents that falsified bank records sent around, and the bank records were then sent around to our supporters. There were character assassinations. Everything.
You scared people, Huey. The Black Panthers scared people.
Anytime the black man attempts to change the slave image, he will scare white people. So the Black Panther Party, I thank you. When you said that we scared people, that means that we were creating a positive black image for ourselves.
Carlton, you were.
What is good, my people? We are live back again on the forecast. And yeah, I got my brother Ben. I'm sorry, Ben, for the intro. I had to get everything straight. What's up, Twin Pyramid? What's up, Brother Supremacy? Yeah, I wanted to come on here. We've been trying to set up this interview for a minute, Ben. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great. I know I'm doing something right now, but I don't care. I want to do it anyway. We're ready to go.
Okay, yeah. Just let me know how long you want to stay on here. You know,
we're gonna stay on here as long as people. I'll take questions about IT. I'll take questions that what we need to do.
Okay, that's what's up. So first, we'll start off by go ahead and introduce yourself, my brother. And,
yeah, my name is Ben Uko with Zowanthi Media Enterprises. I have a podcast, IT support and gaming sector of Zowanthi. So I have a current event show every Monday and Wednesdays on Facebook, and then it will be recorded on the podcast online at zowanthi.com. So everything will be great to go there. Then on Tuesdays and on Fridays, I have the Black Tech Building Program when we talk about the movers and shakers in Black Tech. So the important thing about it is Black Tech Media is why I'm here today. We brought a forecast today. We're gonna be talking about why do we need a Black Tech Media in America and throughout the African world. What's there, and what is the importance of what we need to do? So that'll be the questions, the information that you're going to learn today with me. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So first of all, tell them about what you're doing. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Zone 103 Media. Let us know about what that is and what's going on with that.
Okay, Zowanthi Media Enterprises is a tech media firm independent from every foundation and corporation funding. What it is raise the black voices in black tech. Means I'll do some interviews with black tech professionals and black tech entrepreneurs. And there's also, I just found out, a mixer is going to be coming on next Sunday on the 27th. So I'm going to be there from 2 p.m. I think I'll be around there around 2:30, and I should be there. So it's going to be a really nice ceremony. Get together, get to meet people, talk to people. I already got my ticket, and it's going to look good. But I know I'm going to be leaving work early, but I don't care. But working early, but I need to meet the people. It's time to get my voice out there. Because that's what a lot of people don't understand here is we don't have a media that promotes us in tech that do STEM like science, tech, engineering, and math. So I'm trying to get it a way that we can actually support a real operation to see what we can do, have our own spaces. And eventually I'd like to do podcasting with different people on and bringing their voices and having a way that, okay, these are your tech podcasts of the week. You should be listening to these podcasts and informing yourself that has black tech voices. Because if we're gonna have voices and start taking us seriously, we have to be the ones out here say, you know what? We have Africans that do tech. We have Caribbeans that do well. We have Black Americans in tech. And yes, it does mix with hip hop and R&B because a lot of hip hop and R&B artists are into tech themselves too. But see, we're not arguing. We're not getting fully exposed to technology because back in in the 70s when they took out a lot of the black the education like the trades and STEM programs out of our schools, and we get absolutely poverty-based education because that's what you are actually getting. So that's the personality that I want to do is have a professional voice. We're gonna have a entrepreneur voice. Also, there's gonna be I have 4 pillars of topics on the program I'd like to talk about: computer hardware, security, networking, and gaming. These are 4 major industries I think black people need to take over.
Wait, say that again, Ben. Which 4?
Okay, computer hardware repair, the security, network telecommunications, and gaming are 4 pillars of black tech, but there's more in the black tech that also incorporates into that, like programming, which is number 5. These are the biggest fields in tech that we should be pursuing. We shouldn't be pursuing, oh, we're going to be rappers, we're going to be basketball players, because we already have enough basketball players out here. A lot of basketball players, football players, baseball players, movie stars, and all this stuff, but not a lot of people in web developers or understanding how to build a database for yourself. You got everyone that's doing things in Bitcoin, but you got to know a lot of math. And math is why a lot of blacks don't get into this type of field. And that's because a lot of the hardcore STEM work is really the math and sciences. So because I was big on math, on which I'm going to be revisiting myself some of the math I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be learning how to do networks and servers next and master that craft. So that's very, very important that everybody should be considering what I'm doing with that. So I'm going to pass the mic to Bar Forecast and we'll go on the next thing.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, brother supremacy. We need doctors, not football, and rappers with a huge change. I agree with y'all. I agree with both of y'all. Now Ben, you said something important. You said they took STEM and all of that stuff out of, especially our schools in the 80s or whatever. Now a lot of people aren't into that. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to kind of break down tech and like explain why it's important for us to especially the younger generation, because only I don't know how many people are going to end up starting in the NBA, but we're going to need millions of Black people in the tech world. We're going to need Black doctors. We're going to need people creating programs, systems of defense. Any of these stuff, it starts with the groundwork. You know what I'm saying? So kind of break down like what is like tech and like why is it important for us to get into it.
I think the important thing about technology, Butter Forecast, is we have to know that you have cell phones. They have applications that you need to program. There's a front end and there's a back end of applications. So the front one, so I'm gonna pull up some so you get an idea of what those applications are. So let me share my screen. Let me share my screen to you guys today.
Yeah, I can't see it yet, Ben.
Uh, okay. Can you see it now?
Yep, I got you. It's on there.
Okay. So here's what we're gonna talk about. Let me pull up some information. Okay. Mm. Okay, we're gonna pro. So here we're gonna talk about here. So so you got front end type. These are front end programs. Like you'll have HTML, CSS. You got jQuery. You got all these programs. Then you got SQL. Then you got Python, Java, PSP. These are all the different IT tech field languages that people actually discuss. So when we talk about when we talk about the front end languages, you're gonna have HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's used to design the front end portion of web pages using a markup language. HTML is the combination of hypertext and markup languages. Hypertext defines the link between the web pages. The markup link is used to define the tech documentation with the tags, which defines the structure of the web pages. So when you have a web page, you'll see HTML, you see all that different sources. So mostly you're using it for text. When I'm typing a text and you see those letters online. So that's like and I have so what we use, this is a program I'm going to show you guys now also now too. This is how I built the website. So we use this program. So I actually built all this up. Okay, so we use things like table, body, head. So I use this is how I actually built the platform. So this is going to be that's very, and then you have my archive. So this is all the languages I use. So for this is the archives. This is the podcast. This is going to be coming soon. This is going to be coming soon. This is what I have here for lists. So that's the things people are going to have to know. And I had to educate myself on learning how to do this by myself. So that's really why it's very important to understand how websites actually work. And also, Jose, Bart Forecast, you know about Jose that was on Guide in Hollywood's show last night.
Yeah. Shout out to
Yeah,
that brother.
yeah, that's another brother. If he is listening, I want him to come on here because I want him to talk about his study because I know 3D also involves a lot of technology with programming and stuff. And we both have we both have a conversation, which we do need to have this conversation on things like this to get more kids in tech. So that's the importance why we have to have things like this. Okay? And then JavaScript is one that families are used to create magic on sites, making the site interactive for the user. It is used in enhancing the functionality of a website to run cool games and web-based software. So this is the front end, and also Java is the back end too. So then they have these libraries here. So you have to understand all this stuff, back end stuff. One that's really a lot of people are popular is Java, it's Python. Oh, excuse me, Java, Node.js, JS. So these are these open source programs. But this is the type of stuff I think a lot of people have to understand. Because this is one area I was going to talk about here. A lot of people want to do programs and stuff for forecast, but one of the big things a lot of people are going to, another thing that I feel like a lot don't have, though I'm going to talk about a little bit, is hardware. Because it's very important that someone understands how the computer part works, what it means, and how it functions on your computer. Because you're not getting that hands, because that's part of all that trades, that technical trades that we talked about in the schools, where they're just continuously taking these out. Nobody's asking these type of questions. No one's asking about, okay, what do we need to do to make sure these kids are getting proper education in STEMs? It's got to be a way that we have to put the efforts towards our children. And I feel like the education is one big component. So what what the biggest things I like to do, I think is very important, is also talk about maths and sciences, since in it, because that's how you understand computer hardware. It's all that mathematical stuff, like algebra, like pre-calc, calculus, geometry, not just basic geometry, trigonometry. And then when you get to sciences, you have to know how the parts, how they come from the earth. I would say by at least biology is very, very important. And all this stuff is never talked about. It's never been discussed. And we put a lot of people through programming, but we never get them to do the hardware work. The hardware is required because you have to know a lot of stuff and stuff. So it's very important to get the foundation down first. It's academics, and I want to just hold on a second here, broad forecast. I wanted to get into the importance of education.
Yeah,
We
hey, Ben, going on that, and while you do that, like, also wanted to ask you, like, how did you teach yourself how to do that?
Oh, that's a great question. I had to read some books on this stuff. I had to read how to structure the thing. So it was an idea from one of the guys that went to this Black Tech Talent, which his name is Mike Jackson. So I learned how to say, oh, okay. And then when I was on the pandemic, the pandemic hit, when I was calling it out from the beginning, I was calling out when they started, before they started to reopen, I was calling out all the Macs, all the lockdowns, and said, hey, they're all illegal. They cannot do any of them because that's not how it works. But it takes me time to rethink about, okay, what should we be doing in cultivating that? If they want to do gaming, fine. What's those proper gaming spaces? The strongest gaming spaces. So all these different things. Like, where are all the math groups? You have have black organizations, but where are all the math groups? Where are the science groups in our black schools? Where are all those at? Because we all emphasizes on the arts, which is good. I like the arts is good. I like art, but you gotta emphasize the pillars of the society is the math and sciences. That's the foundation of IT. Because if we don't start doing this, We're getting more behind every year. And then I have to go through a work when I have to work for our white folks and agents and Indians where they have most of them in technology. And guess what? I gotta say, which we're gonna have Guy Nollywood show, which we'll just talk about a little bit now. That Israel runs the biggest high technology of the world. They train all their people when they're young. I'm gonna show that clip tonight. I'm gonna get on Guy Nollywood's show. We need to show that. I need to show that clip tonight. That racism in Israel, so everyone can see how they all trained all their children to be in technology, and we don't do that. And I was just on a show with Marcus Garvey too, and we were talking. And he was on that show with us today. It'll be a great conversation for me and him to chop it up here. But again, we got to start emphasizing this because this is unacceptable. Unacceptable. There's no reason for this. None. For anybody to sit up here and tell us what is the important, what's not important. What is important is education. If we can't get the foundation of of education and the family, how are you going to change this? How are you going to change this? You want to be putting them through homosexuality. You telling these kids, oh, they got to learn all their inventors, when most of the inventors, they stole all the patents for it. And you had a guy that from Zimbabwe that built that TV, and nobody talks about it. Everyone's just like, hutch up. Oh, let's and they better, and that brother in Zimbabwe better go get that patent and get a patent for it, because that is black tech. That's real black excellence. But never talked about. So I'm gonna let our forecast get
Hey, yeah. Hey, Ben, let me say this real quick, cause you going in, Ben. I want you to, like, this is like, I want you to put out all this information and get into tech and as far as educating our children and how you learn. But let me say this, person kid, my brother MG2, shouts out to you. Jose, he just came in the chat. I'm sorry if I said it wrong, my brother too.
so MJ2 is in?
Yeah, they're in the chat.
Pop in here.
Yeah, I put the link in the chat for anybody. And if anybody else got a question for Ben, you can call in at 804-601-4015. But I put the link in the chat also if you have a question for Ben. And yes, facts, Matilda. That's why they sent billions of dollars, because they are teaching their children tech and leave our children dumbed down. Yeah, so we could be workers. And that's why it's important to have these conversations about tech instead of having, conversations about the Super Bowl performance. You know what I'm saying? Because these are important fields that will change our industries, because we're not going to be able to compete if we can't build our own stuff. Like, how are we going to be able to feed ourselves if we can't even get into the proper fields of, like, not just like with tech, because you mentioned math and science, all the STEM field. If we're not getting into these fields, we're not going to be able to compete on a global scale with anybody, and we're not going to be able to ever win until we're able to compete. And as long as we're in a subservient position, not competing in any of these fields, we're going to be subject where somebody else controls our resources. So yeah, go ahead, my brother.
That's exactly. Your vote isn't counting. They will never count your vote. You can do all this protesting, this voting, and all this other stuff, which it never works. The voting never works. It will never change anything until you start homeschooling these kids, because that's the only way. This is only gonna have to stop.
Yeah.
All this crap that's going on in these schools. No, this is the only way gonna stop. You gotta pull these kids out of these schools.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Ben, I don't mean to stop you, but MG2 just came on. I just wanted to let you know. I know you probably couldn't see, but MG2 just came on, so shouts out to him. But yeah, y'all go ahead, though.
Okay, thank you. And that's going to be very important. And now you have all these competitors. You have all these competitors. You have the Israelis, which has the biggest technology, owns all the national security. Right? They have all the intelligence of they have way where they run all the spying around the country and around the world, working with MI5, MI6, the United States intelligence, the CIA, the NSA. You have Unit A200, which is the biggest arm of the Mossad. So how are they getting all this? You know why? Because they're transferring it over to Israel. And they're giving it all the resources to them, including, of course, China, Russia, and all the EU, like Interpol, all the intelligence agencies all over the world. The ones that want to dominate black people every single minute if they have to. Do. That is why we have to dominate this thing. And this is another thing. I did a show about this. I did a thing on Black Junction. I think it didn't made it through Black Junction's messed up of their server. But I love Black Junction. They're a great group. The brother that built that did a great job. And the thing about it is, it's the way it's gonna be done. Everybody has a stake in this thing. You have these you have these Asians that have a stake. You have all these Latinos have a stake. These Indians have the biggest. These three, including Israel, have a stake. Why don't we? Why don't we? We can. You have all these reasons like agri agritech. No reason there. That's another country that can use technology to grow our own food in Africa. No reason we should be poor at this point. None. None. You telling me uh, we can be poor, but then we sit back here when we have no real stake in the game, no competition. Not and even though we're starting, some of them are starting to learn. We don't have competition in none of this stuff. When it comes down to, we should be and think about this when we talk about when we talk about homeschooling. Do you know that most of the kids that are homeschooled, everybody all the winners of all the spelling bees, all the geography bees, the science fairs, everybody wins because the majority of them, except for the spelling, that one black sister that was 14, except for one, all the majority of all the kids were all homeschooled. That's a fact that can't be denied. And that's the stable education. That's why our own tech voices have to be out there because there are other brothers that I did interview on the shows, on the Facebook one, and that's on the podcast recorded that I've done. They built this thing. They have other developers, but I feel like they should be more of the developers themselves, like I did. How I built it. I got a sister who helped me build the site, and, and that's the thing that's very very important. That's why a lot of this stuff has to be that we should be having all these different things when it comes to telecommunication. We should be building all these telewires around places. Look at the best countries that have the biggest firms like Kenya. You have Tanzania. You have places like places that can use tech like Nigeria. I know we can go to South Africa. Everything right there. These countries that have all that, and then you have all these like like Congo. You have all these places like down south like Zimbabwe that can be using that big agriculture down there. That will be excellent for technology agriculture. That's why they call it STEAM, science, tech, engineering, agriculture, math. All those five are the things. Just like I do with tech, I did all the things like we did things like hardware, security, networks, and oh, security, and gaming. Those four things that have to be addressed.
Yeah, hey Ben, because I'm gonna ask you about like all because we're gonna get into those four things before we wrap it up. But yeah, what's I'll let my brother MD2 in too. I want to hear what he got to say too. So what's going on, MD2?
Hey, peace to you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Peace to you, brother Ben. It's always a pleasure, brother. Forecast, I gotta hand it to you, man. I mean, every time I enjoy so much on your programs just because there's so much I can learn. Brother Ben just like hit every point that I live. Everything that I think of, he just like nailed it on the head. One of the things I've been looking for, and being my age, I have so much going on that I don't have enough time to go ahead and do the programming like I used to back in the days. Because I came from days when I programmed in COBOL, Fortran, then I went to C++, it was Pascal, C++, C#, and now it's into Python and R. And I don't have enough time, so I'm looking for young folks that actually are very skilled in Python and R, also working in development with APIs. Because if I had the time, I'd be doing it myself. Those that are, and mostly in terms of the financial aspect, as well as geometry. One thing that I did is for the last several years, as I've been studying calculus, I've been studying physics, and I've been studying hyperbolic geometry and projective geometry, especially projective geometry. And I've been doing a lot of things, trying to learn, like you've got, what's the name? A lot of things that are determined with moments. And there are a lot of things that, like, there's spring theory and things like that. I've been really getting into that. And the reason is because I'm tying this thing together for, what we call the holy grail of trading, for lack of a better term. And the reason is because this dude that did, basically, he had predicted 15 years of the markets. I'll give you a story. His name is George E. Marischal. And George E. Marischal, back in the 30s, had wrote out a chart, and he was an engineer. He was a mathematician and engineer. He was with Roger Badson and Alan Andrews. And this happened in 1933. And so what he did is when he came out with, by using his engineering, he had actually made this chart. They were all drunk at a party, and he made this chart, and he said, this is what's going to happen to the markets in 15 years. And so what had happened was, he made the chart and everything, and then in 1972, or I think it was 72, when Nixon came in. This is like 40 years later. George Marischal patented the chart. It was a bunch of engineers. These guys were like mathematicians, engineers. They had really nothing major to do with finance or stocks or anything like that. Until later, of course. Alan Andrews became him and Babson, one of the richest, and at their time. But what had happened is when they made these charts as mathematicians, in 72, Nixon went ahead and unearthed the chart, and it was exactly what George Marischal did. So he had predicted 15 years of market movement, 15 years in advance. And it was the only time in history something like that's ever been done until now, because I'm on the cusp of making it happen. And one of the things is a lot of a lot of things that are important. What Brother Ben was talking about is I'm looking for folks that are really good with data management, because a lot of things take an enormous amount of data, and anyone that can crunch numbers are very, very adept at spreadsheets, and especially if they program in R and Python. That's very important for me, and they have to have at least a good foundation in geometry, possibly trig if they can. You don't necessarily have to be totally skilled in trig, but it would help. And in construction, and when I say construction, I'm talking geometric construction. They have to be very skilled at that, because that's what these engineers were doing back then, except they didn't have the apparatus of having, big data sets as well as the computing power to go ahead and do it. They did it with just pencil and paper in their minds. And the thing is, like I said, until now, it hasn't been done. And I'm like literally on the cusp of doing something. I mean, they even had everyone from MIT to NASA try to figure out what this dude did, and nobody could figure it out, like I said, until now. And the thing is what Brother Ben was talking about in terms of tech. It's just so important, because this world is heavy competition into tech. I mean, it's so competitive. That's why they're fighting a war in Ukraine, because this thing is not just about, like on the surface, it's a media enterprise. Oh yeah, media is telling you this and that's happening around the world. Get scared. That means nothing. This thing is about who's in charge of not only warfare tech, but as Brother Ben was saying about agri-tech, because these countries have big agricultural, they have big mining sectors, things like that, and tech is going to be like, it is right now the most important aspect of the link in the chain and all that. And one of the things I've been really looking for is young folks who are very in depth of developing APIs or other mechanisms for blockchain technology. Now, of course, folks are into crypto and whatnot, and that's good for folks that are looking for a quick hustle. You know, black folks are always looking for a quick hustle. My thing is to develop the technologies that blockchain technology uses. New technologies for like swaps, new technologies for like aeronautics. I have different things that I'm developing, which I wish I had a lot of time. You know, at my age, it's a lot harder. But these young folks could actually do it in terms of everything from agri to aeronautics. The blockchain is going to be so important, and it's not just about crypto and getting a real quick hustle. In black folks' minds, we get that way because we get on social media and we're watching, you know, clowns on social media talking about, yeah, we're going to be Bitcoin millionaires. Well, that may or may not happen. The thing is blockchain technology is like like they call Web 3.0. I call it Web 4.0. It has the ability to be the next foundation for what the world is going to run on. So my thing is to invest in whatever young folks are deeply involved in creating, like I said, APIs or any kind of things that would take legacy type of internet and or legacy type, you know, whether it's Netflix, Google, or whether it's TD Ameritrade, and actually blend that with the new emerging blockchain and different types of blocks that are you know, different types that are emerging right now, because anyone that's not really thinking that might be left behind in the dinosaur age. Like I said, everything from aeronautics, you know, I have things that are being developed for like that'll make the FAA, you know, the federal aeronautic, the FAA that you know monitors planes or whatnot. I have things that are literally technologies that actually either enhance or outdo it that use the blockchain worldwide. And that's another thing. The blockchain is a worldwide thing. It's not just localized with one country or the next country. So I've been looking, you know, for young folks that are deeply involved in that. And one thing I'm gonna leave on this is Brother Ben said something that is so important that a lot of our folks might want to get a clue. When he was talking about all those Asians and all these East Indians and everyone else who are winning like spelling bees and stuff, and the fact that they were homeschooled, and the fact that he's self-taught, those are the individuals that I like to gravitate toward more than anyone else. Like I gravitate toward Brother Ben because a lot of the things, most of my success that I've ever had is because of things that I've taught myself. I went to school, got my degree as an architect. I built studios, water towers, museums, whatever, as my architect's degree. But I made more success, as well as finance, on the things that I was self-taught when I first learned how to be a synthesist and learned how to be an acoustician, and learned how to do music production as well as engineering, sound engineering, 3D modeling and stuff like that. I did that myself, learning that, and that elevated me to where I was traveling the world and hanging out with presidents, you know, more than my architect's degree. So what Brother Ben was saying is so important that I gravitate toward those, because if you're self-taught, that means that you're holding that means that's so much more to you than something that you've gotten out of a so-called degree, because that thing, you worked your passion and you worked your life, and it was something that you could only get, you know, when it's only something that you could get because you're learning all the intricacies and not being taught by like a parrot, you know, how to speak. You're not doing something by rote. You're doing something by sheer, you know, how can I say it, by sheer like groundwork. You're actually looking at the seed grow at that point, instead of being handed a plant and saying, okay, put that in the ground and that'll grow. That's the two different mechanisms that I noticed in education. And like I said, Brother Ben, I can't thank you enough for being on, you know, as well, and you, Brother Forecast, definitely, because hopefully this will give, you know, that this will, you know, germinate a seed in our folks' minds to actually, you know, take things to the next level. And I'll go ahead and pass the mic on that note.
Yeah, absolutely, my brother MD2. And hey Ben, I'm gonna let you go in because I want you to go in on the 4 pillars thing. Bakari just came on here. I'm gonna let Bakari get it in real quick. Before you go in, Ben. What's going on, Bakari?
What's going on, my man? How you doing? What's up, Brother Ben?
Thank you, Barbakari. You guys getting ready to fund this as I do the presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Look, I wanted to tell you, you know, I'm not what you're talking about. I'm listening and I'm trying to learn, right? But what I want to tell you is some of my people told me to get back with them. Are you Are you interested in what I sent you? Are you interested in trying that? Taking that funding?
Oh, the funding?
Or
Oh,
trying to get that funding?
oh, that funding's coming. Bring it to me.
All right. So like they said they had to check with some people to make sure everything is make sure we can have everything in order.
Yep,
So
I'm
that's
gonna.
what we're working on. But I
Yep,
want to
I'll start budgeting it, figuring out how it's gonna go, how it will work, and make sure everything is in place.
Yeah, I
And I
got you.
definitely
What I want. No, but I
because
just
my
want I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because my plan is sometime in May. I'm gonna take some time off. I might between May or June sometime. I might come down. I might want to come down there myself and see
Oh,
what's going on. Like take a look at things like take a look at the landscape. See the I'll get after I see the pictures. I'll take a look at the landscape and say, okay, I'm up for this because I think I can build this. I can build this platform and say, you know what, we'll have some workers work there. I'll stay in Minnesota, but I'll work. I'll see some people work down in that area to
yeah,
start.
exactly. Exactly, and that's what I was that is something I wanted to like mention, and I just wanted to let you know, man, to just keep up the good work. And I'm still trying to help you with everything I can. I'm trying to get my people like down there is in Mississippi to see who we can get you to get in, who you need to be in contact with, so to try to set up that funding. You don't have to be there to try to set your business up there in Mississippi and get you some like I said, man, because it's booming. It's going to be an opportunity. It's not booming yet, but I'm sorry when I said it's booming, but I see an opportunity for it to boom there because, like I said, they got this black lady, and I looked at her. She's starting her first black-owned tech school in Mississippi because she's talking about the importance of what you're talking about. So it's almost as if it can work hand in hand. And now I believe is the time for us as a people to get in while on the ground level and it hasn't boomed yet. You understand? So they want to bring in more sponsors. Like I said, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying and see what I can help you with. You know, to see what I can help you with and to see if I can get you in touch with the right people. All right.
Yeah, that was it, Bakari.
That was it, man. I
Yeah.
don't know much about tech, so I'm gonna listen offline.
All right, yeah, you can stay on. Or if anybody else got questions for Ben too, you can come on or whatever and speak on it. But yeah, go ahead, Ben. Anything that you heard or you know what I'm saying, and of course get into the 4 pillars or you know what I'm saying, get into
The
what you
pillars of
want.
why I think it's important.
Yeah,
Okay.
that and you know the pillar like you was like there are 4 important things that we need to get into. And oh yeah, by the way, MG2, if you want people to reach out, let me know. I'll put your email in the chat too. So
Oh, do appreciate it. And always good to hear from you, Brother Bakari. Definitely. Um, I was just watching, I think it was Brother Supremacy in the chat was talking in terms of chemical. I believe in chemical. I'm so sorry that I missed that. That is so important right now. Mining and chemicals, chemical engineering, um, and also any kind of any tech that you guys can even think of in terms of mining and energy, and it doesn't matter what extent. It could be anything from actually somebody that works in there to make things for safety hazards and things, or communication devices. You could develop apps for miners, apps for for safety, apps for surveying, apps for whatever it is. These are just little things like that can have a really major impact. And I'm so glad Brother Bakari was talking about funding, especially for a tech. When he was talking about a tech school, this is the kind of inspiration that these tech schools could get. For instance, you've got a bunch of 15, 16-year-olds in a tech school. It could be Mississippi, it could be Atlanta. They're working on an app for fire departments, or they're working on an app for civil engineering or miners that says, this will make your life easier. It could be anything from ordering food to making sure that it's safe inside of mines. It could be for it could be for communications, for and I'm not just talking about. And when I say mining, I'm not just talking about mining in terms of, okay, somebody's somewhere in Idaho. I'm talking what's happening in the Congo. I'm talking what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in Niger, what's happening in Burkina Faso, what's happening in Mali. This type of technology, what will happen is our Africans on the continent will also make money, and they'll have first access to exactly what's in the resources there, and not having to worry about France, Russia, or anybody else trying to take over their technology and their resources. And it draws us together as African people so we can work as one, we can communicate as one, and we'll just, and also, it'll also put money into those 15 and 16-year-olds' pockets that are working at a tech school, whether it's in Atlanta, Mississippi, or whatever else. But anyways, I'm gonna pass the mic. I just want to put that out there for you.
That's nice to hear, MJ2, on that. Yeah, and it is very, very important to have that, and that's what we're gonna cultivate. We're gonna need these ages between, especially if we're gonna talk about all the high schoolers. We're gonna need these young adults between the ages of 21 to 39. Once that person hits 40, it's gonna be no use. That's gonna be no use for them. And MJ2, do you agree with me on that?
100%.
Because remember, you talked about this one time that we can't have anybody over the age of 40 leading.
Yeah, I believe like most of you guys are younger than me, or I should say all of you guys are younger than me, and especially if you're in your 30s.
I just turned 34. I just turned 34 on last Sunday.
Yeah, see, you guys are like what I call my leaders. Okay, you guys are young. You're in your 30s. You lead, I follow. All I can do is give you whatever information or resource I can, so it'll make your life easy. That's what my job is. Okay, if you're in your 30s, to me, you're the general. I'm the private. But anyways, I'm gonna pass the mic.
Yep, and that's exactly like 20s, 30s. Because because you can't be a leader at 40 or 50, like you're Tariq Nasheeds and you Don Callaways and all these. No, you can't get that. You can't get leadership like that. Oh, what is that? Okay, you might build it up. I understand there might be some 40, 50, 60-year-olds who have built the foundation in their 30s. They have cultivated it. I get that part. But just a regular person at that's going to be 40, oh, no, over 40, no. That's why you got the majority of these African leaders. They're all in their 40s. They're all like, some of them in their 70s. These are bums. Remember when they were trying to build up that Ugandan Bobby Wine? That guy was an establishment mouthpiece. And those are the type of 30-year-olds and 20-year-olds. We're going to get them out of here. Anybody that goes with the UN, the World Economic Forum, the IMF, World Bank, the Bank for International Settlements, you doing business with them, see you later. You can't do business with us. Nope, not in Africa. No. Get out. I don't care what our country that is, and all these UN folks. Remember 2 years ago, like 3 years ago, they were trying to go to. They went up there when all the African leaders went up there and spoke. They said, it's time to go to London. Like, when I heard that, I wanted to do a political ratio, but I would just get so mad. I would just get more furious. The kind of you're setting up a group of fuckboys. That's what you're getting. And you get all of these men that go up to the United Nations, and you telling me that that's progress? No, you're not progress. You're a bum. You're almost 40. Because by the time you get to 36, that's your last winning chance. To 39, that's your last win. But once you're 40, it's like you're on the way to death. And that's how it goes. It's like I keep telling everybody, we cultivate the dumbest people among us. The dumbest people want. And then when they talk about Bitcoin and all that doesn't work. Because it's all digital money. It's all printing off thin air.
Can I ask you a question, Ben? I don't mean to interrupt. Something we was talking about the other day, currency and all that, right? we could create, is it possible? I'm asking to create our own like digital currency, Bitcoin.
I'm for it. I'm for it. Yeah, anybody that has that skill that works with fintech, I will support. I will support that any day over their bitcoins, where they when they control the markets, they control on the digital computer. That's that's how it goes, and that's how it's gonna be. So, in my final statement before I get to the 4 pillars, you have to understand your kids are the future. You gotta cultivate them. We have a lot of African kids that are younger in their third, especially those ones in their between 35 and younger. We got some of those in the 36 to 39 too. I recognize those too, but the vicious ones, especially your 25 and younger, 25 years old younger, where they're gonna be the ones that are gonna be building up the computers. Do you know realize how much change we would had within the next 5 to 7 years if we started doing this? You might get it done in 1 year to get the foundation, but like to have a full, it might be to get it going 5 to 10, and then you might have to wait 20 to 30 years to get a whole new generation of real black tech. But also, I also want to talk about the demographics because this is another factor. A lot of things I'm gonna focus on Black America. Our demographics is very low when it comes down to, because you have all these abortions going out of control. And when you have a statement like when you have Cynthia G saying that we want to abort black women, how are you gonna build a foundation when it comes to math and sciences and education and food, which is agriculture? You're supposed to act like you're supposed to be a lady, teaching women how to sew, using tech to sew. We should be we should be doing that, doing our clothes and not doing them for cheap. Because you want to get into it, but we don't get a lot of sewer. Gotta have a lot of more sewing. Gotta get those hands back. Gotta go back to what they used to do, and bring it high tech. Won't that be a great idea? Because I know it will. To me, it will.
Yeah. And Ben, real quick, you because earlier I'm not sure if people came in later and didn't hear it. You was like there's 4 specific fields we should get into the most, you know. So like real quick, you know, could you name those 4? You know what I'm saying?
The 4 pillars of why I
Mm-hmm.
got to my program.
Mm-hmm.
It's computer hardware repair, computer hardware, which is like your engineering and all that stuff. We have to do networks, works in telecommunications.
Okay, explain. Yeah, and like when you say like, you know, kind of quick, like, you know, explain like, you know, like in a easy explanation, you know,
I'm
kind of
gonna
quick.
Yeah, let me do the for each one. Okay, the way the way we do that is gonna give you a solution here. Computer hardware. We have to know where the computer parts come from, using it to build it. Not just only just installing it, you have to know how to manufacture the product. Say, okay, I got all this. How can I use the technology to create the important stuff that comes to the hardware, and understand how that hardware functions? Then you have things like Raspberry Pis, and that's computer. It's a little chip piece of hardware where you can use it for, you can just have it for, it's a simple desktop. You're not using a physical desktop that I'm using, or a phone. You have a piece of motherboard that they use, and you can use it to connect all your devices, and it can be used for gaming. You can use it for troubleshooting and all that different stuff. But it brings that back to what the foundation of hard determination is. So I think when we do computer hardware, we have to do the engineering sector of it, because that is where a lot of things like desktop support engineer know how the desktops work, building up all this stuff. So getting that STEM, getting that trade skill part side of getting those hands for our young boys is going to be one of the big things that we need to do in the long run. All right, each person want to comment on the panel?
MG2, Bakari, y'all want to comment?
Well, I'm just listening. I'm gonna go offline. Like I said, I'm gonna go offline. Y'all out of my ring. I'm talking about. I'm being honest. I talk about what I know. Right now, I'm listening and learning.
Okay, if you want to listen about
Time to work.
MG2,
What's up, my brother? What's going on, bro?
you want to comment on this one?
If I could comment, one of the things that I hope that we do is get into databasing. Anything that has to do with software and engineering, software analysis, and it's such a growing. It's something that never ends because it's especially now that you've got the gig economy, you've got all these new. Once they came up with Uber, it just told you the world is never going to end in terms of software, in terms of new types of technologies that you can use, and databasing is so important. The most important commodity in the world right now is not gold, it's not Bitcoin, it's not even water. The most important commodity is data. And data security, data basing, data management, data analysis, data parsing of the data, forensic studies of data. Even when they took our DNA, unfortunately, many folks gave it up free in terms of 23andMe and Ancestry.com. That is one of the most important points of data right now that everyone's using. So hopefully I could add that in terms of the some of the pillars of things that might be very important. And I'll pass the mic on that one.
Yep, and I think that's one we will be addressing that on the fifth pillar, which is going to be the data basing, the programming sector, because that's going to be very, very important. So that a lot of that computer hardware is set. Now,
and yeah, Ben, before you say that, let me say this real quick. I think what and correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, like, he's saying like actually get into actually how to build these products that we need. You understand? Like that's what not just how to use it once we already have it. We have to know the materials that we need and how to put it together. You know what I'm saying? So is that kind of what you mean, Ben?
Yes.
Right.
That's gonna be very important. It's not just we can put it together. We'll still talk about putting it together, but we gotta know how they build motherware, how motherboards are built, right. what kind of things we need, what kind of tools that we're gonna need. So in a few weeks, I am gonna go back and rewind some of the topics on the Black Tech Building Program, where we're gonna discuss a lot of that. And I'll always let you guys know. I'll let you guys, Brother Fork, I'll let you know in email when those shows come out, so you guys can hop in, donate to those, and let's get this. Because we are gonna. This year is gonna be the year that we start correcting a lot of this stuff and really getting the. But like you said, it's not gonna be Bitcoin. No. That's the Bitcoin market was collapsed 2 weeks ago, and no one seems concerned. Is that right, MG2?
Yes, as well as what Brother Bakari had talked about, making your own currencies. Back in the 80s, we had, back in Kansas City, they were talking about making what was called the black dollar. Unfortunately, a lot of things that we do are very temporary. Once something else comes up, then it's okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. But what Brother Bakari was saying is so important in terms of, and hopefully everyone will rewind that back when Brother Bakari was asking, should we have our own currency? Now you have a platform that we could actually create for our own, i.e. a blockchain. When you talked about Bitcoin, it's speculative, okay? There is no real function to it just yet. You can't really go out and get medical care yet with a Bitcoin or Ethereum. Not to say it won't happen, it's just right now, there's no real liquidity there, and it's not as very fungible. Fungible meaning that you could actually, fungible is like a dollar. It'll be accepted everywhere, and it turns it into goods and services right away. Now, the blockchain has the ability to make things more fungible, but here's the beauty of it. If we start to look, if you look at other countries like China and others, they have a local currency and then they have an offshore currency. But what Brother Bakari was saying in terms of our own type of currency, we could have a local currency, i.e. that works within ourselves based upon whether it's a blockchain or whatever technology we want to create from the jump. And I'm glad Brother Forecast brought that out in terms of making things from the jump. you brought up the Raspberry Pi. One of my favorite is Linus on Tech, and there's a few other YouTube channels, and they focus a lot on Linux, and a lot of that is because of the Raspberry Pi. They're really deeply involved, and when you brought that up, because I remember I was fixing to go ahead and delve into it a few years back myself. The thing is what Brother Forecast was talking about making things from the jump. It is so important to know the manufacturing process of motherboards. So if left to our own devices, we'll create things that are so more advanced than what we see right now. Unfortunately, of course, we don't have the resource yet, but it's not like we can't create it. Remember, the motherboard was actually developed by a brother, and I think it was Brother Mark Dean, who developed MCA technology. Michael, I think it's circuit architecture. He's the one who created the technology for the modern day motherboard right now. Every motherboard that's being used since the very first day is used based upon how he had used different segments of remember you used to have to put your video card in, your memory in, the external cards, especially with PCs, and then later adopted for Motorola chips when Apple, I think it was later adopted for the Motorola architecture because Apple was based upon the Motorola chips later on. And I used to do a lot of programming in a similar language, so I'm getting back into my programming days. But what had happened was this brother, Mark, I think it was Mark Dean, who developed all that concept, and I think it was either IBM, and it went from IBM to other manufacturers. But when Brother Forecast said about manufacturing, learning how to do it from the jump, take things from the rock, from the coltan, and turn it into the things that we need for ourselves, and not wait on whether it's NVIDIA or wait on Intel or wait on AMD to do it for us. It's something that we should do from the jump. And when you were talking about Bitcoin, keep in mind, cryptocurrencies are a very speculative thing. It's like Beanie Babies, mood rings, pet rocks, CB radios, Tommy Gotchas, text pagers. I'm not saying it's a fad. Okay, I lived in the days of the pet rock. So the thing about Bitcoin is it's based upon a technology that actually has some use. Now, if Bitcoin or Ethereum or these other things, Dogecoin or Solana or whatever becomes useful, or Cardano or whatever, if it becomes useful, then that's like a bonus. But the technology that it's built on is what I'm trying to really, really get our folks to think about, either developing our own technologies that could actually interface with it, or or I should say, like a programmer, or an exclusive developed the thing, the technologies that it uses, so we can go ahead, whether it's medical payments, house payments, whatever it is, develop that to interface it with the blockchain. Make sure we secure and patent those technologies for ourselves, and then make sure we can spread the money around to you young folks. But I'm gonna pass the mic on that one.
Okay, and Ben, before we go to the next pillar, and then after we go through the pillars, then I'm gonna give y'all a chance to talk about anything else in tech that we need to talk about. So, but after we go to the pillars, but before we go to the next one, Jose just came in. I'm gonna let my brother, if it's let my brother jump in the conversation.
Yes, I jumped in. I am working on something that I believe can be really big. But the moment that the brother MG2 started about data being the commodity, I thought this is maybe I should yell. I should throw something in the group, and that's in 2012. The elections in Senegal were about, and that's not the national elections, but the other one, regional elections, and it was all about agricultural innovation and autonomy, so to speak. I'm using the word autonomy, as you know. I think in Dutch, and I'm translating live to English. So sometimes my word choice may be odd, but I hope you understand. The whole West Africa buys five agricultural products from France and the Netherlands. And look how small the Netherlands is. But anyway, it's apples, pears, how you call those orange things in the ground? Cabbage, Irish potato, and white onions. The purple ones here in Europe, the purple ones are the most valued. But I guess in Africa they see the McDonald's and the Burger King advertisements or whatever, and the people want the white onions. So these 5 products, Senegal want to cultivate those 5 agricultural products, but the thing that hurt me was that they would the research would they spoke of the research coming from Europe. In other words, European universities would check the process, because the ground and the minerals or whatever that is in the ground is of course is different than the Netherlands and France. Here in the Netherlands is the delta of 3 rivers, and it's a rich black soil. And of course in Senegal is different. So there is a development process needed, right? And I was so disappointed because you got young. I mean, Senegal is especially the Wolof people. They are into studying and knowledge. I mean, you all know Sheikh Anta Diop, right? And Diop is a Wolof name. So I was so disappointed why they look to European scientists to go and develop or research the process of growing these 5 agricultural products, because you yourself have a academic culture, but you're relying on the scientists and European scientists to figure out how to efficiently grow those type of crops, you know. And why I jumped in is databases in the process of developing this in the process of growing those crops. You gather knowledge, and yes, you store it in a database, and when you have this knowledge, it's valuable because that's what Europeans are going to do. They have the knowledge, so they know at a certain point they know how to grow pears and apples most efficient on the soil of Senegal or other Western African countries, and they will be selling that knowledge back. You know, so yes, develop this process of growing those crops and store the knowledge in a database and sell it to whatever, to Thailand, to Brazil, etc. There's us Africans need a switch in our brain. We need to acknowledge that we are even smarter than Europeans, but since we look up to Europe, we keep giving it away. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you for being able to.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, all right, go ahead, Ben.
Well, that and Jose said it exactly. We give it away. We giving so much away, and it's really getting sickening. As a community, we just accept it, and we just get away with it. Have no plans, no nothing to have any sorts of consequences for their actions, and that's why that all takes place.
Oh, sorry, it's painful because this government, it's the young folks that bumped or dumped Wade, the president prior to Macky Sall. He woke up at a lecture of Runoko Rashidi, and he understood that it's he understood that you know, he was the one, the initiator of this monument of the African Renaissance. I don't know if you know it. It's a family. It's a man, woman, and child, and one of the largest bronze statues. And the youth was influenced from outside. You know, North Africans were being cooked. At that moment, we didn't know what was going on, but the West was bombarding the North Africans with propaganda, and some of it spilled into Senegal. And Wade was old; he was 92 or something like that, and that was the type of propaganda that North Africans were being cooked with. And on the way to this Arabian Spring. There was a little Arabian Spring in Senegal because they pushed out Wade, and there was a lot of nonsense like he's Illuminati, and this statue was full of Illuminati. I didn't it's nonsense, pure nonsense. And North Koreans had built it and whatever. It's all it's not true. Our people don't know how it works, right? It was a Senegalese architect, and just like when you build a bridge or a large project, you publicize it, and contractors apply, and then you choose which contractor may build it. You understand? So of course North Korea won, just like China wins a lot of contracts because they do it quick and cheaper. And North Korea, of course, with the propaganda of those dictators there, the father of the one leading now, North Korea is full of bronze, huge bronze statues of that leader. So of course North Korea has the most experience. So they got the contract to build it, but the project is 100% Senegalese, right? And so that's all. That's I want to mention this. I'm explaining this and I want to mention this because there's the youth. We have the youth. Africa has the youth, but the youth is influenceable by media, right? Their mind is still open, and we have to take that in account, and we have to make a propaganda a priority. You know, we have to be very cautious about the media that we create. And lately, maybe I don't know if you noticed it, but lately I'm for example, I'm on the skin of Dynest because he did something very ugly. But we have to we have to use media. We have to create content that instills pride and self-value into our youth in the diaspora and especially on the continent, to make them aware of for example, that they are the treasure in this process of these 5 crops that Senegal wants to grow, and with the intention to bump the Netherlands and France. The youth has to be conscious that it's their job. They have to pull it to you understand? They have to pull it in their direction, and not wait for the government to push it in their direction. You understand?
Yeah, and all right, yeah, definitely, my brother, and yeah, you make a lot of good points, and y'all make a lot of good points. But yeah, we'll go to Ben and like go to the next pillar, because there's a couple of them, so we can kind of get through them. You know what I'm saying? And then after that we're gonna talk about the rest of the stuff and then wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? So Ben, you could go to the next one if you want.
Yep, I will talk about the next thing we're going to talk about in the pillars is security, like understanding things like worms, different types of things that have types of security issues, like understand identity theft, cybersecurity jobs. So now I'm going to go back in here And I got that stuff right here. So we're gonna show you all the cybersecurity jobs that we need to pursue too. So let me go back to share my screen again. All right. Let me find what I'm looking for. Okay, hold on. I think I think hold on everybody. I just saved it in here. All the stuff's in here. I have the jobs, the pillars all in here. Alright, do I have that? I have the goals. Uh, so these are the okay. So right now we are in this but so this is all the so I have so this is the think tank information. We'll go over that a little bit. So these are the ones that we got here for entry level security jobs. You have information security specialist, monitoring network for security branches, investigating, documenting, and reporting security branches, research on IT security needs, high computers with security products and procedures, developing strategies to help their organizations. So you have a security specialist here where you can maintain firewalls, anti-software, implementing new security training, research new security risks, suggest the improvement for security weaknesses. And then you have digital forensic investigator, permit testers. We have those those are going to be very important into security. These are the kind of jobs right here. So like the one I was just talking about, permit tester, planning, designing, and carrying out permit tests, create reports on tests and offering recommendations for security decision makers, developing security scripts to automate parts of the testing process, conducting social engineering as I said, intending to get company employees to disclose confidential information, provide technical support during incident handling. So you have security engineers, security. These are the two ones I'm going to read here that are very important for Black people in tech. Okay, developing security standards and best practices, recommending security enhancements to management, ensuring new security systems are installed and configured correctly, testing security solutions, leading incidents, responding to teams, developing programs to automate vulnerability detection. So these are things like this. And then you also have a security architect. So you got an architect of security. So this job, will be building and maintaining security networks and systems, preparing budgets and overseeing security expenses, coordinating security operations across IT and engineering departments, improving systems in response to security incident vulnerability, conducting branches of security drills. So when I want to look for someone to say preparing budgets here, I want someone with really strong math, someone that algebra, statistics. I'm gonna probably need somebody that understand some hard algebra, not just not just only college algebra, but I want linear algebra too, so you can get that and some financial background. See, I want someone with that type of math and a strong 2 to 4 years. That's the max. Because anybody can be, but I want someone that has but that that math background to do this job, to do security architects. So securing your data is very, very important. So this is all the jobs people should be looking at. All right, guys.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pass it to MG2. And let me say this, yo, this is important because that's protecting everything from your bank account all the way down to, if your birth certificate started getting digital, that's that. Like everything that's secure with a nation is digital, and they have to have digital security to protect what you build. You know what I'm saying? Like people can corrupt because everything is digital now. People can corrupt, like if you're manufacturing foods, people can corrupt it if they can hack your system. Just like T-Mobile, a few weeks or a couple of months ago, T-Mobile got shut down because somebody hacked their security system. And hold on, my fault, Ben. I ain't meant to take it down. But yeah, because somebody hacked their security system, and the T-Mobile had to shut down for a while, and they issued a lot of apologies to a lot of people. So that's an important thing. But yeah, go ahead, MD2. And then Bakari, if you want to jump in, you can jump in if you want. But then, yeah, go ahead, MD2.
Yeah, security is paramount. And first off, I got to say, Jose, great to hear. When you brought up Dutch, it's been a while since I've been over at the Utrecht district and Amersfoort. I stayed there for a minute, and I got a lot of friends over there in Netherlands. And man, some of the best food. What are those little stroopwafels? If anybody ever gets a chance, eat some stroopwafels. You'll get them over there in Holland. They're the best ones you'll ever get. With and do that with coffee. Never forget that. But anyways, when you were talking about that, yeah, Brother Forecast and Brother Ben, security right now is like at the top of everyone's agenda. That's one of the reasons, and I'm gonna bring it back why you're seeing folks talk about going to war, because it's all about security. It's security. What was it like yesterday? There was a hack, a supposed hack in Ukraine. The beautiful thing about it is, definitely, if you're into geometry, definitely algebra. If you're into calc or physics, and also a cryptographer. If you're a cryptographer, that really, really helps because of the more and more the more and more protections that get out. Like I used to do a lot of reverse engineering, i.e., I used to do a lot of cracking and software. And that was one of the main things. As an assembly language programmer, that was one of the easiest things for me, was to just run it up into a hex editor, and then I can find out what protections are within whatever software. I used to crack all kinds of music software and stuff like that. So the thing is the more and more, sometimes there were certain companies that wanted to hire guys like us to say, look, how can we make our protection better? And every time that they do that, then, of course, us that might have a hasp or a key will go out and tell our friends, hey, this is where you can get that free, and then therefore they'd have to update their protection. It's one of the most important businesses that's out there right now, because anyone that thinks that these hacks are done by rogues, like, oh, this is a rogue government or a bunch of teenagers, like you saw the bomb threats that were happening at the HBCUs, and they were saying it was a group of international teenagers or whatever. A lot of times they'll put that narrative out there, but you got to be real. Anytime that somebody's telling you that this North Korea hacked something, no. Those hacks more than likely are coming from within the company that are trying to better their protections for whatever it is, and to keep their departments going. That's like a common thing. You get somebody who can crack software or hack something. You get them working for it. They'll put something out in the wild. It might be it could be anything from a virus to a script. It could be a script within a JPEG. It doesn't matter what it is. They put that out in the wild, and then all of a sudden, they're basically going out looking for, like, it's a way to hire folks. They're looking for folks to say, hey, I figured this out, or they'll come up with a solution and they'll get paid extra dollars. So that's data security is like, that's why I always bring up data, and I use the whole umbrella in terms of data. But data security is one of the biggest parts of that data, or of the business in and of itself, because it spurs new jobs. I used to make viruses. Okay, and one of the viruses that I made was called TAPS, and it would actually infect BIOS chips, almost like the WinPE that came out years and years and years ago, that actually would infect the BIOS in computers. And it was done through portable execute. When the portable executable first came on the market back when I think it was Windows 7 or whatnot, they came out with this WinPE virus, a CIH virus, and that was something that nobody's ever seen before. But that was they were blaming guys that were virus creators and hackers. No, it was within companies themselves that said, hey, I need to find out what our weaknesses are. But here's the good thing. That's great for Africans. When we start to develop our own data protection, we could also go into aerospace. We could go in, like space technology. We could go in data breaches and security for biomedical, or as what brother Jose was talking about in Senegal. When we're talking crops, because agriculture, there's a lot of data that has to do with agriculture, not just how many crops you have, but a lot of this unfortunate stuff that they're doing with GMO and everything else. There's the data involved in terms of manufacturing or protecting or patenting things. Who's ever into securing that is literally going to be that's the Bill Gates. I don't like to use that term, but that's the Zuckerberg of importance. In other words, that's where a lot of the financing will go in terms, not just development, but who can protect it. Data security. When Jose was talking about Senegal, right now Senegal has a problem with the fisheries. What I mean by that is Europeans and Chinese are out fishing to the point where Senegalese are starving over there because they can't. I mean, Senegalese have been fishing those waters for like 10,000 years before it was even called Senegal. And the thing is the Chinese and the Koreans, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, and the Europeans have literally depleted Senegalese waters of fish. There has to be a security mechanism for data as well that's involved, so that way our folks aren't starving like they are over in Senegal right now. And a lot of that has to do with encryption. It has to do with data protection as well as patents. But on that, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic on that one.
Okay. Bakari, you want to?
Yeah. Hey, brother Supremacy, what's going on? I'm still here. I'm just a student, so I ain't talking. But I want to tell Ben this. Ben, this is the lady name right here. Her name is Dr. Nashia Cephas, the black lady. She bought 12 abandoned acres. She's developing a $25 million tech hub for entrepreneurs in Jackson, Mississippi, right around from Jackson State. So when I'm saying this, I don't know her, right? I won't tell you that lie. But of my nephew know her through his wife because they all went to the same college. So when I say I'm trying to reach out and see if I can get you some of that Mississippi funding, I am letting you, I'm really trying to reach out to somebody to see if I can get you some of that $45 million that they trying to help small startup tech companies with. And with you being a black man, use that, we are not minorities, but if you have to be a minority to get that money, in that instance, become a minority. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't call myself minority, but you become a minority.
Not either. I don't even like these terms. These terms are too inappropriate.
They may be inappropriate, but make it appropriate so you can get that money if everything work out. Shit, use them the way they have used us. But I'm just listening. I just wanted to tell you that name to let you know that I'm not, like I said, they went to college with my nephew and his wife. I don't know them, but I'm going to try to reach out and do everything that I can to try to help you get some of that funding, all right? I'm going to try to put you in touch with some of the right people. I'm doing all the groundwork I can. All right, my man?
That's very, very important.
So now I'm back to listening because I'm a student.
All right. And Bakari, yeah, you can jump.
I'm gonna listen offline too.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, just let me know, Bakari. You can jump in anytime you want. You already know. Jose.
Yes, yeah. Let me repeat what I put in the chat. It's the Dutch. These Dutch fishermen were exhausting the North Sea, and the Dutch actually pushed the fishermen to that West African region with subsidies to avoid them emptying the North Sea. You understand what I mean? So they were exhausting, they were overfishing the North Sea, and the solution that the Dutch found was to give them a hand of money and send them over to West Africa.
Is the pursuit of a healthy, happy life. Educating members and other team members is a critical.
Hello?
Oh, I'm still here.
Okay, yeah, that was it. I have nothing to
okay.
to add. Oh, I have a question. I have a question for MG2. the current developments with these chips, RISC-V. Could it be that now is the right time to push these spy mini computers with the current developments, this whole ICT world? I expect everyone to follow Apple with the choice of RISC-V or RISC-V chips. Is it the right thinking? Am I onto something?
You're right on time, because remember that came out in 2010, and usually within 20 years you're almost more than likely going to see, or within 20 years you're going to see things that might be pushed. Now I might be wrong, I may be totally wrong, but I think it was that you still have a few more years before, as far as I know, in terms of the it's like an open standard that anything that's like an open standard is usually like, that's why blockchain is getting like a lot of that. But the problem is you see a lot of these things that are open standards that started out like Linux and stuff like that didn't really take foothold because nobody could actually profit. These closed architectures that could actually profit. I may be wrong. I may be totally wrong. I call it the RISC-V, but the RISC-V. I may be wrong about this, but I think now that more folks are into like something that is very not only open but actually integrates. If I'm not mistaken, you might want to help me out with that. But I think it's more in tune about how it integrates hardware and software better than other chips.
Yes.
Maybe,
yes.
Yeah, and I think that might be my thing is I'm looking for companies that compete against it, and are they going to do like Microsoft and try to step on it and drive it out, or will bigger hands come in, whether it's Chinese or somebody else with a lot of money, and push that? And who knows what the impact might happen to AMD, Intel, and other and Nvidia and others that are the lion's share.
I think their days are their days are numbered. I think their days are numbered, and I think the industry is going to push this RISC-V development because Nvidia is already with their fanless mini computers. Nvidia is already supplying manufacturers. So we are going back to the days before the IBM. Before IBM opened their motherboard to the compatibility platform, so I suspect we are going to back to dedicated hardware. So you're going to have a device in your living room that handles the media. You're going to have a device in your garage that with which you can fix cars or whatever. I suspect we're going back to dedicated hardware.
I tend to wonder, almost like when the internet first came out, it wasn't centralized with Charter and Warner and all that. It was actually a distributed network of nodes, and I kind of wonder, hey, maybe Back to the Future. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, definitely. So Ben, if you want to comment on that, but I don't know how many more the pillars you got. How many more we got left?
We have 2 more.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just listening to the conversation. I like to get everyone's input. So
yeah, me too. Yeah, it's a good conversation. Yeah.
This is why I think it's enjoyable. The next pillar is network, telecommunications. This is one I think, MJ2, we need your good take on this one. I think when we talk about telecommunications, we have to know the different type of routers, the trunks of the network. We have to understand static routing, dynamic routing. We have to understand those type of basic knowledge of BGP routing. It's a lot of routing in IT. We have to know voice over interphone, the VoIPs. That's going to be the biggest part of our thing in tech. We have to understand that. Very important, because when we start doing things, start connecting network, we have to know the type of things that we need, the type of supplies. how to build it and how to communicate. And we're gonna have to need those type of network positions. So now we're gonna go over the jobs, the network jobs that we're gonna need in the future to address. Give me a second. I'm going to go over this. So these are things again that we're gonna need to know. So so this is very important. So we need to get into the networks. So type of networking job, we're gonna need these engineers to design the computer network, network administrators, network administrator design, install, support the computer system of organization, telecommunications, very important stuff in IT are gonna be very, very. We have to be prepared for these type of things. So like network administrator, like we talked about earlier, database, telecommunications specialist. So telecommunications specialist works in the interaction between the computers and the communications equipment. They design the voice, video, and data communication system. They supervise the installation of these systems and provide maintenance and customer support. And it's true. So used to do tech, when I used to do this type, because I had a really because this is one of the classes I had a little hard time before I learned things. I had to learn how to make to do things like connect a network. So I never used to know VoIP until I went to this class. So this white guy named Eric Level, he mentored me throughout all the stuff about things like Raspberry Pis, what we talked about earlier. But it was mentoring me and other guys and into that whole particular field. And I'm not saying that because I just prefer white folk over black people, but what it is, because that's who's mostly the dominance of the field. Because you have a lot of black folks, the majority of black folks in the human resources, and you get a lot of those. So the important thing about building your networks, installing the networks, understanding all the routers, switches, we're gonna have to know a lot of that's important stuff. So there's programs called the one I was showing you, Salisbury's one. So I just have it loaded up here. So this is a program I use. I'm going to use a different program. So you have things that you can learn, managing a web app, security tool on a virtual network. So you have all this stuff, and then I can just go in my comp. Let me go in my CompTSA network. So you got these labs here you can do that people can do. So so these are all the things: network analyst software, troubleshooting common network device monitoring, network troubleshooting techniques. So all this stuff we're gonna have how to create the networks. We're gonna have to know how to set up the network, and we have to know how to repair the networks. So this stuff is gonna be very important knowledge that everyone's gonna need to learn. So learn here. So this is going to be one of the biggest important things. So I'm gonna pass tonight for some questions from MJ2 and Jose.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna pass it to MD2 real quick. But let me just say this, because like I know a lot of people like MD2, Ben, Jose, y'all some smart brothers. And for the layman brothers like myself, I'm just trying to break it down so like me and like like a second grader could understand it, what I'm saying, in the words of some people. So first we had the learning how to build it, what I'm saying. Then we had the security, learning how to protect it. But it's important to learn how to run it, and like if you have a problem with your computer or something, you don't have to take it to somebody else to fix what's going on with your computer. Then they can go past all the security and all the stuff and just take the data out. So we can't even build the proper things and learn how to manage it and learn how to fix it if something goes wrong, then it'd be all for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Am I kind of close, Ben? or MD2.
Go ahead.
Yes, you're so close, Brother Forecast. Here's what really got me deeply involved in computers. I've been involved since the 70s. Some of the first programs I made was back in 75. And what really got me going was in the 90s when personal home computers became the fad and now the necessity, you had to take your stuff to Koreans, okay? Because the Koreans, especially in California, the Koreans had, they had the whole industry on lock. It didn't matter what it was. If something happened to your computer, if something happened to your data, whatever it was, and back then, 4 megabytes was considered gold back then. You had to do everything on floppy disk, the 8-inch floppy disk, and then the 5-inch floppy disk, and then it went to the 3.5-inch floppy disk. But you had to go to an Asian somewhere in some neighborhood, and especially around the time when they were beating us up during Rodney King, you had to be careful about where you're going to bring your computer to, because there was like a major fight with the Koreans. Well, here's what the Koreans did. They reverse engineered. They learned so much to the point right now that where all your phone technology is pretty much Korean technology. They went ahead and used, within 30 years, they became the heads of innovating new technology. And a lot of that stuff started because, folks like me that said, wait a minute, I have a computer problem, let me take it to this guy. And then that's what made me stop taking it to these folks, because I said, wait a minute, I need to learn this myself. Again, being self-taught. And I learned about how to, like Brother Forecast said, how to run things. Then it became not only how to run computers, but how do I program my own programs, or take apart other programs and find out how I can make things better. Then it became into how can I innovate and create my own. So it's so important learning how to run, because running things is not just like, especially when you're talking networks. I'm so glad that you're bringing this pillar up called the pillar of networks. It is so important because what we're doing right now is a network. YouTube started out as a video service that became a network. Now all of a sudden it's everyone's new media form now. TikTok started out as it's like a Polaroid picture or a video that was a couple of seconds, and then it became a network. One of the biggest networking environments that happened in the last 2 years. Of course, it's not happening like it is now because nobody's really using it, but it was something called Zoom. Communication, that's a network. Zoom went from 0 to 100. It went literally, like they say, going from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. It did it in less than 2. Why? Because of a pandemic. So the thing is these are forms of network. Now you have different platforms, of course. Facebook is one of the biggest networks. It's just a data source for government, so they can tell what everyone's doing. But it's nothing more than a big bulletin board where everyone posts their ideas and thoughts. That's part of the network. Not only that, but if you have a problem with your Microsoft, whatever, and you make that call, you're going to make that call to someone in India or Philippines. That's someone that knows how to run your network, and run your software. Of course, any kind of someone that's going to fix something, that's part of that network. And so it's so important to, of course, the protection, actually how to build the networks, actually how to run the networks, how to solve the networks, and also more importantly, how to create new things, new technologies that are actually networking technology. New platforms that you could actually say, hey, we've got our own security platform, and it may model itself off of the old text pager, but if something happens in Mississippi, Virginia, or something happens in the Netherlands, or something happens in New York, somebody can push a button and say, hey, this is a safe place to be. That's a network. That is, I'm so glad you brought that pillar up, because we as Africans network more than anyone else. It just, unfortunately, when I say network, we do it a different way that's not really productive. We call it social media. But back in the days when something went down, we called it the grapevine. Okay, yeah, I heard it like how did homegirl sing it? I heard it through the grapevine. That was come from us, okay? Because we were out in those grapevines, we were out in those in those fields, and we did more networking back there and more productive networking than we did now. That's why Harriet Tubman was able to go ahead and make sure a lot of us were free, because she networked on an underground railroad. So the thing is networking in its quote unquote digital form, or for lack of a better term, in the age of the Europeans 2020s, anyone that's involved in the construction, especially now you have blockchain. Now you have new emerging technologies. Jose brought up the risk architecture, the risk 5. You have new technologies that folks are looking at that are going to make it a lot easier to actually develop new technologies for networking. So therefore you can protect and you can run it. And I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic on that one.
All right, Jose.
Me not worthy. Next.
All right. Okay. All right. So Ben.
Okay. Now, the last one the last one that we'll talk about. I'm gonna continue on with the subject. It's the one we talked about. Big thing is databasing, which is the programming sector. We're gonna have to know a lot of things in that one. So let me pull up something else again. Important jobs of they're also very important into the programming sector. Here, we're gonna have to. These are some jobs that I think they're very important, like software architect. Okay, software architects design and develop software from a high-level perspective, providing software engineers with an architectural blueprint to follow. These individuals are also enforce the tech solutions for the company, like coding standards and tools. They're expected to possess extensive knowledge of software and different coding languages, as well as understand design patterns and principles. So that's going to be one of the jobs that you need to know. Software developer. We got a lot of those. Those software developers are largely responsible for computer applications or program that allows you to perform tasks on a computer or electronic device. Depending on the field, they will expect to be familiar with computer languages such as HTML, C++, Java, Python, and PHP, in addition to a variety of operating systems. Common tasks include writing, debugging code for event-driven applications, modifying software, and testing and documenting applications. So all of this I'm showing you are going to be the jobs that the fields that we should be going into. Cause let me say this to everybody here right now. You have a group of black folks that we have call a dropout rate, like Mark MJ2 was talking about. We have a severe dropout rate that happens through our our so-called public schools where they don't. So if you're just not encouraging the kids to get in these type of schools, what else are you going to try to get them to? This is what they should be good. Then you know what? If they did this and having these are a lot of math. They're gonna have to know a lot of calculus. You have to have a calculus mind. You have to know a lot of things. Logic classes, very important skills we're gonna need to learn if you want to get into a programming field. And that leads me right to the fifth and final one is gaming, which every video game. This is Jose. I'm gonna let Jose comment on the fifth one here. That you have. These are all the skills you're gonna have to learn how to do gaming, not building the software, building all the video games, architecting the games, knowing what things in your 3D products are gonna have to be. You're gonna have to know how to put these things because black people in general are the biggest consumers in the gaming, but we're not doing the hard work when it comes down to competition, like building the software, maintaining the software, solving and logic are going to be three things when you get into that type of the field, when it ties into the programming stuff with databasing, and then when you talk to the fifth and final one, which is gaming. Gaming's gonna all when it comes to web hosting and everything, because web hosting is gonna be very key when it comes down to gaming. So I also, when you talk about that type of thing, you have things. Let me pull up a group on Instagram here. You guys, okay. Okay, let me just get this. It's a black group in Minnesota called Rank Free. It's created by three brothers. Three brothers created. So you can. So this is their gaming video creator. So they built their own social media of like-minded gamers. So when you click on rankfree.com, these are the brothers that created it. So let me just pull it up for y'all. This is what these brothers created. So let me show you guys. Let me just show you the two brothers that created it. So this is this other lady, JB, poet. There's another lady that was in but this is it. This is the whole field. This is the gaming resume for you can hook up with like-minded gamers right here. And this is right here in Minnesota. So you have these great brothers that another group I'm going to show you is that's also in Minnesota, Go Cade too. Gaming on the go. They also host events for our children. So they were at the Black State Fair last year, and this is their website. This is all their stuff that they do. So this is their blog if you want to take a look. So but this is all black owned, all black controlled, black owned. These are all the black gamers right here. So because programming and gaming, it all ties in together. So I'm going to pass the mic here, and I'm going to pass it down the bar forecast to give it to MJ2 and Jose.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, MJ2.
I was reading something that Jose typed in there when you were talking about gaming, and Jose hit the nail on the head with a hammer about the size of Mount Everest. He said about everything being developed in 3D software, product development, testing, showcasing, virtualization, too numerous. Like I said, he hit a nail with a hammer the size of 3 Mount Everest. I saw this one video yesterday. One of my favorite YouTubers. It's a young brother by the name of E, and he works at a trading organization, and he's only 23. He's really into trading and markets, and he had Oculus, okay, and he was sitting there trading on Oculus. Because he was like, hey, I'm gonna see how the meta, and then we know the so-called metaverse is having some issues right now. But the thing is, he was sitting there. He was playing games. He played golf. He played a few other games on his Oculus, and he says, hey, you know what? I'm gonna see if I could do some trading in the markets on this Oculus. And it was so funny watching. I'm looking at this kid, like he was in his own world, 3D. I mean, pure 3D. And that's what got me thinking when I read Jose's comment, is because gaming. Like I have a nephew who's 18, and he owns a company that he's got others working with him, but he owns it, and it's game development. It's game software development for games. That's his ultimate thing. And he started this company, I believe, when he was 16. And I haven't talked to my sister in a minute, but as far as I know, that's what where he's at. He had even asked me at one time if I could do music for some of the games he had developed. And gaming is not only a game for entertainment. A lot of folks think that entertainment is just where it starts and ends. No, military applications are for quote unquote. They develop the stuff for entertainment, but it always makes its way into military. And military applications are so important, and gaming is one of the number one things. A lot of the military apparatus that's out right now is, especially drone technology and whatnot, was developed because of gaming. Not only is it military, but of course, entertainment world. The gaming is I do, and it's been a while since I've done it, but I'm a programmer, and once in a while they'll hire me for the E3 comp. The E3 hasn't happened, of course, because of the pandemic, but I did the E3, and I developed I was one of the things for EA, okay, and Activision, and I developed this thing. Basically what it was is they had me going in and programming all to have the stuff in sync with the music. My thing was music, and being a programmer, I had to make sure everything synced with the robots, and I had to make sure everything synced. It's a very easy job. They had, I had to make sure the audio was synced with everyone, and I ran it for like 12 hours for the Activision set. And the thing was, I didn't know at the time, and this is a while back. This is years and years ago. I didn't know that gaming, in terms of the revenue and in terms of importance, it makes more money and more revenue and has more audience than football, basketball, movies, music, baseball, hockey, and soccer combined. All of that. I didn't know that. They told me that. They said it makes more. It has more interest and more money and more eyes on gaming than all of the stuff. When they said music, movies, sports, and this and that, all of it combined it pales in comparison to what games alone bring in. And I was like, my goodness, I'm in the wrong business. I was like, but this is what the guys from the Activision were telling me at the time. The guy that ran the presentation for E3, and it's been a while since I've done that. But when I saw that, and I went down there, it was just, because it was new to me. I'm not really a gamer or whatnot. I play a couple of games here and there, like Solitaire or Mancala or something like that. But outside of that, I'm not really into a player of a lot of games. But when I was there, it was I was just and this is when 3D modeling was really starting to take hold. It's been around for a while, but now it's on steroids. And I was like, my goodness. The realistic stuff stuff right now, it's a whole different world. I had worked on the Diablo, Skylanders, and I can't remember the other one. Those are the three things that I had to put together to actually sync. So, because they had a robotics guy there, and they wanted to sync that up in real time and make it all virtual. And when I was at E3, I was like, I had no idea that this industry was just like, it's like a world within its own. I've never seen anything like it. And I know right now, when they hold it now, I know it's probably off the hook right now. But on that, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic.
Yeah.
Okay, Jose.
I'm working on I'm alone. People have left. I'm working on a sci-fi movie, and this movie explains where we come from and where we're going to, and the hidden gem is our language, our vivid, versatile, living word, and that's Ebonics, Cape Verdean Creole, Patois. I call Ebonics the immaculate conception, and in this movie I'm using it as an immaculate conception. So again, African Americans, I put African Americans again in the center of our liberation, our enlightenment. But the story in short is 10,500 years ago, and the Sphinx is dated at least around that time, right? Because the Sphinx where the Sphinx is looking at when the constellation Lion was at the horizon. That was about 10,500 years ago. Okay, so 10,500 years ago, we a part of us left Earth because the essence of our life was in danger, quote unquote. So a delegation left, and 3,600 years before Christ, they came back to see if the damage, if what they feared had occurred, and it was so, and they tried to reverse it, and they left again thinking that they failed. But 100 years later, another group that got the message left also. And this story that I'm working on starts there. Both of them are now monitoring planet Earth. One is hidden. The one that left most recent is hidden behind the moon, and the oldest one and with higher technology is hiding or stationed in the rings of Saturn. And both of them are monitoring us. And the clue or the click or the connection that they make is in language. But us here on the planet, we are lost. We think that we have lost our original language, but in this story, Patois and Cape Verdean Creole and Krenglish and those languages that I call the living word is actually our original language. So we are so lost that we still speak our language. And this language is from the universe. You understand what I'm saying? It's the living word of quote unquote God. And how I read the Bible, God is consciousness, right? So and that's why Ebonics can be the Immaculate Conception, because out of consciousness, African Americans have returned to living language. You know what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying is an essential part in your language, in our language. So it's yeah, I'm doing it, as you can see. You know, it's photorealistic 3D. Partially I use game technology before, for example, the landing gear. How that opens is gaming technology, but the same as MD2. I'm old. This actually young people should be doing this, you know. But our people are so damaged. When I introduced it to our community here, in that stage, it was not a movie, but I wanted to make it a series. And because I just like MD2 also has, I also have trained myself in sound engineering, etc. And I have a history in hip hop. I produced the first Cape Verdean Creole hip hop project, and so it was a series, and in every episode I wanted a rapper or a spoken word artist, because language and word our versatility with language is the hidden essence of this story, right? So in every episode I wanted a guest, or a cameo, or the episode was with the artist in the main role, and in every episode I wanted to touch our issues, you know. So self-hate, the mother-son, father-daughter relation, etc. But when I introduced it to our people, they laughed, literally laughed out loud, like, sci-fi movie? you? And well, I was saying we, but the reaction was sci-fi movie? You? You understand? So I'm working on it alone, and it's I mean, if you watch those sci-fi movies and you see how many people work on a movie, it's like 300 people work on a sci-fi movie for 1 year. You understand? So I'm right now I'm working on short like trailers. I make a couple of trailers. I'm making a couple of trailers to seduce young people in Africa, because I've given up on us in the diaspora. I'm sorry to say, but yeah, it is what it is, you know. So I'm preparing for when I'm going to Senegal again. I will try it over there and see if I can seduce our young over there to take part in it. Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So, like now, well, I'm gonna let y'all, react and respond to what Jose is doing, and then, and also any other things in the tech field that we need to know. But let me say this, because they bringing up very, very good points. Um, unless we get into the simple fields, like it starts with the basics. You know what I'm saying? You can't just like, oh yeah, I got my cell phone and it's the end of the day, I'm good. Or I got a PlayStation 5, so I'm good. We have to start learning how these technologies are developed. And I know a lot of my people may not want to hear this kind of stuff because they want to hear us arguing about, maybe ADOS, maybe colorism, maybe the gender war. But this kind of stuff is important because if we can't develop gaming technology, like MG2 said, that stuff is like where the military develop a lot of their weapons from things from entertainment, and if we can't develop what we need, first of all, on a need basis, not alone on a want basis, but on a need basis, it's going to be hard for us to compete. How are we going to be able to manufacture bullets and all of this stuff if we can't design or make our own programs, let alone protect it? But just to go with the last pillar, if we can't create these programs, how are we going to create weapons to defend ourselves if we do want to build our own nation? How are we going to make sure that we're developing the right kind of things to treat our food with, or our medicines? Because a lot of people are talking about as Ben calls it, the pandemic and this mandate that's going around, but we don't have anybody develop. Well, I'm not gonna say we don't have anybody doing it, but I'm talking about on a mass scale because we're not into these fields developing all of this stuff. Like we gotta rely on what somebody else tells us through this about space through the Hubble telescope, instead of developing and how are we gonna get into space one day to know so we can end this flat earth argument? We just gonna stay on earth and argue if it's flat or not? No, let's develop technologies so where we can get out of this atmosphere, travel to the moon if we want to ourselves, or wherever planet. But we're gonna have to learn the basics with all of this stuff. So what I'm saying, I appreciate these brothers for coming on, and I appreciate them for sharing what they've been doing. And I hope all of y'all go back and listen to all of the information and stuff that Ben and MD2 and Jose brought. All of this stuff is gonna be very important if we're gonna be serious talking about developing a nation. But yeah, my bad. Go ahead, man.
Oh, look, it's like we said, we're not taken seriously. We are really not taken seriously. Cause how could you be serious? You say you're serious, but you want to cultivate help. But I never see on your shows bring black women on these manospheres, these women, and this is where we're gonna have to. Now we're done with this. We're gonna have to take some little time because what I saw with that Tommy thing was the most very vicious and most despicable. Like what are we about to destruct? Cause it's getting there. It's really getting there. We're almost to self destruction. Are we that retarded at this point? Because this is like we're acting like we're children. We're so childish now because we're so child all this stuff that sit and fit. Like what are you getting out of that? Uninformed shit. Then you got your boy. Then you got your boy, Miss Carnell, and then Brandon from Pan African Strikes Back. He's doing that show right now with the good old friend. They're talking about this Don Calloway and that little hoe he is. Tariq is a hoe. These men, your O'Shea's are hoes. They're all of them are hoes. And I was like, when I was listening to Brandon, I love Brandon, but dude, you can't give someone like O'Shea. He's disrespected. He's disrespected black people. Well, in numbers of occasions, he's known. He's defended Tariq. Like, no, that's okay. He might build something. I credit him for building something. He's got the thing, but dude, you have to understand all the issues you're talking about. You have to understand. O'Shea cultivated all this. The manospheres, the woman spheres. He cultivated. That's why he's bringing it into Africa so they can try to keep the festerness going. So this is why I do love Brandon. Pan African's right back, but I don't agree with him on this one because he has to understand is O'Shea is the fish, is the pester of it. He pesterates the fraud, along with Kevin Samuels and all these other ones, all these other ones that are out here that are doing all this. And you had nothing accomplished. Tonight I'm so glad tonight's show. When we get into the guy, you guys know about Guy Nalu's show tonight about Israel, the racism in Israel. It's gonna be a very important show. I think we need to talk. This is one that new black media is not getting. That's another thing about new black media. I love the brothers and sisters on that Black Power media, but I never hear you guys do shows like this. Never do an individual show about stems or deep politics. Those are two major factors y'all don't cover. I understand the history and all that stuff is good, but it's not the history. It's not the topics that you cover. It's what you don't cover, and that's the key thing here. I'll pass the mic. I'll have more to say.
Okay, MG2.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, it's and I can't wait for Brother Guy. I try not to miss anything he does. He's like my warrior, man. I mean, I was listening to the program he did yesterday, man, and it just got me out there wanting to go work out. I'm so glad that you said when you were talking about a lot of what platforms are out there, Brother Ben, in terms of folks and their interest. I always say, what's our interest? Because again, until we go ahead and support what you're doing, and actually, I don't care how you support it, if it's money, information, ideas, connections, whatever we can do, because until we do that, unfortunately, a lot of our folks are going to be caught up on the so-called social media that's out there right now, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, or whatever. And the unfortunate aspect of Africans, Black folks, what we're doing right now is a lot of what we've done in terms of this, what I call anti-social media, is nothing more than attention getting. It's like, finally I can go ahead and show the world I'm a celebrity. That's literally what so-called social media would, again, social, to break up the word, social, being social, and media, which is to promote and to disseminate information. And unfortunately, with this aspect of so-called social media, the first thing that a lot of our folks did is said, I want to be a celebrity. I need to be something that I revere. And unfortunately, a lot of our folks, celebrity is more like with other races and other ethnicities and other countries or other languages, celebrity to them goes in a box of, okay, that's entertainment. They don't look at celebrities as politicians or militarists or financiers or innovators or technology. Then, when East Indians look at their celebrities, they look at them as that. Okay, you're an actor. That's the box you go in, because anytime I want to look at a movie, I know that's your profession. That's the interest that I'll go at is look at that movie, look at that basketball star, or look at that, or listen to that music. Unfortunately, with Black folk, and more in particular in diasporas, we look at celebrities as all of the above. They're politicians, they're innovators, they're our militarists, they're our political leaders, they're our financiers, or at least we want them to be, or and in other words, we look at them as gods. And that stems from the days when, for lack of a better term, these slave masters, they would put the reverend or whoever it is to go ahead and keep the quote unquote field Negroes under wraps. It would be like, you better tame them. So he would turn somebody into a celebrity. A lot of the time it was the so-called preacher, because he was the go-to, the conduit that at least kept a couple of lashes off our back and maybe a couple of rich from not happening at the time. Not to say it never happened. I'm just saying that that's what they promoted. He'll keep you guys in line, and maybe I won't go ahead and rape your mothers tonight. Unfortunately, we've taken that to an entirely new form, to where now on social media, everybody wants to be that conduit to massa. You know, they want to be that thing that goes from the so-called skilled Negroes and now all of a sudden my name is Tariq Nasheed because I'm a celebrity. I know I'm online because keep in mind, if social media never existed, if YouTube, TikTok, and none of that existed, you wouldn't be hearing about any of these folks. You wouldn't know of a Dane Calloway. He'd probably be working at a 7-Eleven somewhere, or he'd probably be in the military. Nobody would know. But what happened is because we don't have platforms like what you're doing, Ben, or at least not enough. Like I've been on Black Junction since day one, and I got on Fanbase thanks to Brother Bakari. I've been doing a lot more listening to Fanbase. Because of the fact we don't have platforms like yours and others to take us away from trying to be celebrities, now all of a sudden everybody thinks they're going to want to be that reverend back in the slave days. We just call them, O'Shea Du Jackson. We just call them, I mean, the names go on, Yvette Carnell. It doesn't matter. If we took away that, let me give you a good case in point. I don't see the same type of nonsense that I see on white social media. I don't see the same thing ever happening as much on Black Junction or Fanbase. I don't see that. I don't see I mean, there is some out there because I did see some over there, but it's not as notable. It's not as prevalent. It's not as omnipresent as it is on white social media. So that kind of tells you that Black folks that are in that are not very serious. They want to be celebrities. They want to be that HNIC, for lack of a better term. That's their mindset. And unfortunately, that's where it's going to end. They will not have legacy. If YouTube goes down, there will be no legacy of these individuals 20 years from now. It'll be like, oh yeah, I remember him. I remember there. But you will remember SpaceX with Elon Musk. You will remember the East Indians that have developed technology for IT. You will remember, Jeff Bezos, because these folks set up legacy. They've set up things that we need, things that we want, things that we can't do without. And when I see that, that what you're doing, Brother Ben, is not only necessary, it's probably one of the only life preservers that's happening for us right now as a people. And hopefully we really start to look at that because more and more folks, you brought up earlier about folks sewing clothes, getting in. I've been talking about that forever. I had to learn how to sew when I was a kid. Now I need it more than ever. The thing is, and I love sewing. I love doing.
Are you out? Y'all hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Ben. MD2 went out for a second.
All right, let me comment about all that this stuff. That's exactly what it is. Until we raise our graduation rates, because that's one topic I think a lot of us, when he gets back, he should let me know if he gets back. Okay, let me just talk about what before I get here. Okay, the most important thing about all this in education has to be these. We gotta fix these graduation rates, the proficiency rates. Do you know now that we have a 20% here? I think proficiency here in Minneapolis and public schools. I think it's like 20% of Black kids proficient in reading. Ain't that telling you a lot? But take their max. But put a max on school. What? Oh man, this is a country full of sick people. Man, everybody laughs at us. Everybody laughs at this country. They laugh. Everybody takes their laugh because when you look at the truckers, even we know the Bannons and all the usual suspects, and that could be a whole another conversation. Are there, but at least some of them, they know how to be men. They're willing to risk their lives. Some of them will, and some of these, even you see it in control opposition groups in their movements. Though I do know, some of them will die for their kids. But unfortunately, some of us will not do that. And I know why, like people like Dante Wright, Wright's killer is going to be out of jail quicker in 2 years because we got jokes like them in our community. And none of them talk about, oh, how about you shut, like we were talking on one of the shows, like, man, that fucking guy, we talk about shutting schools down. Yeah, you damn right. Shut all these schools. Let's build our own schools. And if we can't do that, we can our kids at home about these innovators and tech. Let's do that. I said it right here. Shut the fucking schools down. Shut all of them down. Every public school at this point has to be shut down because all the brainwashing, all the constant anti-black brainwashing, the homosexuality, all that COVID shit that's mask wearing, trying to threaten our children with these shots. No, no, no. Fuck no. Fuck no. Shut the schools down. Shut the fucking schools down. Because I'm going to say, shut the schools down. Shut these public schools down. Even if these private schools going to go on with these masks, we'll shut them down too. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of these bad proficiency rates in our children. Even I'm not having a child, but I'm so sick of the proficiency rates that we see. It's embarrassing. And you told me you're going to wear a mask on a train? No, fuck that. Fuck that. No, no, not putting that crap on. Because I'm disrespecting these children and our future. And that's what it is. So MJ2, continue on your comment.
Oh yeah. Basically these platforms that are out, it kind of reminds me of either you're in the slave shacks or you're in the big house. Regardless of where you are, when we were out in the quote unquote slave shacks, there were things that we did not let the rest of the plantation know. More of your successful rebellions and revolutions that were developed in the slave shacks were, and even there was a lot of quote unquote house Negroes involved, or what they would do. But a lot of the plantation didn't know what was going on because they were able to go ahead and, it was like, we don't want to promote ourselves in front of massa and try to be a celebrity, which is what you see again. If none of that existed, you wouldn't even know a lot of these folks that exist, so-called social media hounds. You wouldn't know, there would be no such thing as an Instagram model because of the fact that everyone wants to be quote unquote, look at me, white folks, I'm important, I'm like you, or at least I'm better than the other N-words that are over here. That's the mentality that was put up on this so-called anti-social media, or what they call social media. But in the slave shacks, a lot of the successful rebellions and revolutions, even a lot of families didn't know what was going on. They just knew that somebody disappeared at a certain amount of time at night, and they just came back, and they were different, but they didn't know what was going on. Well, when you have your own platform, okay, I determine things as your own quote unquote slave shack, if you want to call it that. It's something that not everybody needs to really, there needs to be no celebrities. It's just you're getting things done. I always taught folks what I call GDS or GSD, excuse me, getting S done, and you know what the S word is. I would say just if you're not GDS getting S done, you got some problems. And it reminded me of a lot of the rebellions. When you develop these platforms, whatever platform we have, the thing I'm working on in trading, a lot of my family, there's only one member of my family that knows exactly to the extent of what I'm doing, because it's our own little slave shack. It cannot go out because this is my Nat Turner's rebellion. This is something that will upset the so-called status quo and send my enemies, my competitors, crackers, and others to their knees. So the thing is these platforms, I looked at Black Junction, and I'm still, I do off and on. Unfortunately, a lot of the videos, again, there's a lot of server problems, so they must need funding to get better protection. So the thing that gets me thinking is, hopefully, whoever develops new platforms will go ahead and look at it in terms of a slave shack. Not saying that not everybody is not going to know about it. Of course, things will be publicized, but there are things within it that, little groups, circles, clubs, cliques, or whatever, that not everybody's going to know. Not everybody's going to be a part of. Not everybody won't even know that it exists. And I look at that, and I look at like some of the trading organizations that I belong to. Many of them don't know that I'm Black. Okay, many of them don't know that I'm living in the United States. A lot of them think that I might be an Arab, I might be East Indian or Chinese. Just because of the profile that I put out there to get information, they're thinking, oh yeah, this dude, he must be from Bhopal or from Beijing. Well, that's all they need to know. But these platforms that they have, which are forums and whatnot, are so closed to the public. A lot of folks don't know that they exist. One from Indonesia I'm part of. A lot of them don't even know, but these folks are getting stuff done. The developing technologies, especially in the finance world. And I got more information and more knowledge from being a member of all these little platforms that are so close to everyone else, organizations, Facebook groups, you name it, that they will not let anyone in that's not one of their collective. I just go ahead and use a different picture and say I'm, somebody from this country, and they're like, hey, how you doing, my friend? And I just, tell them what they need to know in order to get in. But that's their version of a slave shack. And hopefully we'll develop platforms for ourselves that we could do the same thing, or at least start thinking, and therefore we won't have a need for an O'Shea, because they won't know that we exist. They won't know that things are getting done, that new technologies are being developed, new chips, new chip designs, new ways of software developing, or developing the tools to make software. Because their mindset and other folks' mindset, the Yarnells, the Tariqs, or whoever, the Kwame Browns or the Kevin Samuels, their mindset will be, hey, I want to be HNIC. I want everyone to know I'm a celebrity. Good for you. God bless you. Have fun. But in the slave shack, we don't get stuff done. We're gonna make Ben Uko's dream come true. We're gonna make things happen. I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic on that one.
Oh, you remember you talked about thought crimes before, Prince Solomon and Sincere. You talked about them before, MJ too.
Oh yeah, I remember when he was way before when he was the Prince Solomon when he first started.
Oh, he did. So let me get this straight. So what are the issues you have with his platform? Because I see his animations. I do like those. I think my concern with that platform is they're doing more. They kind of do good topics, but then you have to pay them subscription. They have their own think tank. Hey, I love their think tank idea. I think they're doing some things right, but sometimes when they came down to those attacks against Ray Rice, R. Kelly, things Bill Cosby, the attacks on black men, there were times that, especially with the R. Kelly one, they were okay. Even we know R. Kelly's history, even know what he did is wrong, and I am not supporting it. What it is, I don't like the fact that you're gonna defend a document. What do you think that will happen to yours if you have a kid? Those slanderous attacks. And you know what? I want them to listen to our show today. I want them to hey, you know what we do? Pass it through all the Facebook, Instagram. And I want them to let them know, hey, we're here. We're here. And we're going to be the ones doing it. I'm probably going to get a lot of pushback. You know what? Good. Because you know what? It's going there. You're not gonna be coming up here in our platforms and say, "Oh, this is this shit." Shut up. Nobody wants to see you butt naked with all this stuff. You have all this talent. What you got at the show? Never show making your own clothes. Paris Milan. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I never see you do that. Nyla, I never see you do shows about. Well, except for one. I think one show I will give you credit on is that Sleeper Cells. That was a good YouTube. But otherwise, what else have you done? Have you done any? Have you done any? No, teaching girls girls how to cook? No video. Sinji, did I see one of those sewing? No, I don't see. And all those other anti-black man haters. And I'm gonna go to you, black men too. I'm gonna take a step on your ass too. Like your O'Shea's, your Tariq Nasheeds, and hey, come over here. I wish I want them over here. MJ too. I want them over here. I want them over here. I want them over here. I want them to come over here. I'm gonna it's like I love the guys by Power Media. Hey yo, I want you guys to come over. I'm gonna ask you, well, why you got all this great knowledge? I'm gonna ask you, Dr. Rick Wallace and all you guys. I want them to come over here. Michael Blatchard. I want you to all come over here. I want to ask you guys something. I'm gonna ask you, okay, so you have all these great ideas, which everybody has different experiences. To preserve our children's safety, why are these schools not shut down? So we can start teaching our children how to be black and smart, and show real black excellence. This is.
Can I tell you why, Ben?
Go ahead, please.
Because you're not white media, and what white media does is give the Negro it gives them a soapbox they could stand on and say, look, white folks, I'm important. Look at me. I'm important. The Cynthia G's, the Paris Milans, Black Paramedia, Thought Crimes, Superboy, Willie Pete, it goes back, Tommy Sotomayor, it doesn't matter, BGS. They have a soapbox that they could go ahead and say, look, Massa gave me a bigger soapbox, so I'm more important. It goes back to the slave mentality. I've known BGS for almost 20 years, damn near, no, over 20 years. I'm so disappointed with him. I mean, I'm hugely disappointed. We've talked, personally for years, for over damn near 2 decades. And to see that when you were talking about these other platforms, none of them get anything done. I learned more. Let me tell you something. I learned more from white females and Asian females off of TikTok, 15-second segments on cooking, sewing, things like that I need, than I've learned on any of these black females, that are talking about divesting, whatever. I have not seen one thing on cooking, whether it was Cynthia G or whoever else. There's a couple sisters out there that do, and I appreciate them because they're deeply into cooking.
We need to promote them. We need to promote them.
Exactly.
Cloud computing, everything that the tech thing. Then we're gonna understand that I love black women. I love black women.
Right.
But
right.
Not the ones that they promote out here. These ones, even that some of them that might be real, some of them know how to hustle. But these ones that they popularize out here, no. Most of them are pieces of shit. They're losers their entire lives. They have nothing.
The thing is, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You first, and I'll continue.
Yeah, the thing has been is I always go back to, I don't want to use that term because I don't like to cuss on other folks' platform. It's getting S done. And you know what the S stands for. A lot of these folks aren't getting things done. The black males that I mentioned, they're not getting things done. I learned more from, there are some brothers out there, there's some good brothers that they specialize in working out. And I'm talking like MMA workout, push-ups, pull-ups, things that I like to do every day. I learned more from Asians, whites, and Hispanics because they're getting things done. Whether it's a 15-second TikTok video, I'm like, hey, that's a new technique I didn't know how to use. Because a lot of the brothers that are out, they're flapping their gums to try to make themselves important, i.e. being on a white folks soapbox called YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. But out of all the man hours, and I've done videos about this, there's a lot of man hours out there. Do you get things done? What are you doing that folks, that even if a person lives in Kazakhstan, they want, need, can't do it out and ready to kill for? Do you have a product, a good, a service? And a documentary ain't a service. A discussion about, women-men dynamics is not a service. I'm talking something I could take to someone and sell it and bring a lot of money back to us. Something that folks need. And the thing is, it's unfortunate, but, this is why I want your platform to be successful, because your platform has, what you're talking right now are things that folks need, what folks want, what we can't do without. And unfortunately, these individuals you talk about, Ben, they will bring the same nonsense over to you because getting things done and building a platform is not their agenda. Being important is. You're about building something and making it work. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And that's why I built Zone 1. Have you seen my website?
Yeah, Zone 103, yeah.
Yes. And it's been 1 year. And, I just got recently ticked off because someone was trying to use us to go ahead, but they dropped us anyway. But that's okay. I can find somebody else. Because it seems that they continuously do this over and over and over again. They have nothing to show. Like, okay, you have this platform. Oh, you promote all this. Okay. Marketing. Okay, I give it to you. But have you produced the results that we need in those media platforms? If you guys produce the results that we need, because it seems that a lot of you guys haven't produced nothing. And it's funny. That's why their channels never get taken down. Never. The Instagrams, the Facebooks, the YouTubers, they never get their stuff. They never get touched. But we're like blackballed. Basically, my network is blackballed. I see that's what's going on here.
I can tell you why.
Yeah.
We talked about data, and the reason I tell folks data is the most important and expensive commodity out there. A lot of folks don't realize the nature of data. Data is not just bits and bytes. It's not just zeros and ones, and you can move on from there. As a programmer, data is the thing that's like the life. It's like the blood of all. It's the blood of the industry of the world right now that runs everything. Data, the things that folks store, the folks things parse, the folks things forensically analyze, the folks things sell. Let me tell you what happens with the data. And I did this a long time ago, Ben, which is why I hope your platform grows exponentially, because for every nickel that any one of these individuals get in terms of ads or something, because a lot of these platforms have literally decreased the amount of revenue that they give folks for ads or whatever. For every penny they do, these platforms make at least $1,000 on the data that these individuals have. Here's what I mean. With data, like I studied forensic audio. So a lot of times I can listen to someone on the phone or wherever it is, and I can tell what the background is. I'm an acoustician. I can tell whether they're in a living room, whether they're in a bathroom, whether they're in a closet. I can tell whether they're outdoors. I can tell exactly if they have hardwood floors or if they have carpet. I can tell if they've got paneling or if they have paint. I can tell just by listening over the phone. And the thing is, as an acoustician, I had to learn a lot of things. If I could do that there, you know the amount of data that a Google or somebody can have with their technology. They do what I have, they have by a magnitude of 1 million. They could tell not only what kind of paint you have on your walls, what color it is, and then what you did that day and what you're going to do tomorrow. They analyze this to forecast things, to go ahead and project, okay, we've known he's gone to the store this many times. Chances are he'll go tomorrow for a type of clothes. So we're going to send him an ad for that because we were able to see it on Google Maps or the Google satellites that he walks this way down the street to go there first. So we're going to go ahead and push technologies that'll make him consume or whatever. There's so much, the infrastructure of what data does is not only for commercial purposes and marketing, it's also for protection or military. That's why they came out with face recognition, voice recognition, cellular recognition. There's so many things that data does. It's so important that a lot of our folks don't realize. It's not just, okay, well, the data is my picture I sent. No, that's just, the face recognition is 1% of how they use your picture. That's just, you're talking genealogical studies. You're talking about things like, the service that goes in and see that if there's crimes or whatever. You're talking even for credit. They're using genealogical structures of how folks look, skin tones or whatever, so they can decipher how credit mechanisms are. So therefore, that might be part of a way of determining whether somebody's going to get a loan or not. There's so many things that data does. And here's what these Googles, these Facebooks, these TikToks, Instagrams, they are one of the biggest gatherers. They're like fishermen for data with a wide net. It's like going out into the middle of the Pacific Ocean with a big old net and grabbing everything you can and bringing it back so they can forensically analyze, use it for commercial, military, security, educational, every purpose that somebody wants to use. A lot of folks don't realize even the satellite structures. Why do you think they're starting to battle over satellites right now? They've got satellite killers. They're afraid of Russia and China using a satellite that will disrupt and gather data from other satellites, because data, all these things, the reason why you said about why our channels are quote unquote blackballed, which, hey, they could do that for me. That's why you'll never see a picture on their so-called social media, not one I'm going to give them. They're going to have to find it from somewhere else, but I'm not going to give it to them. Why? Because everything that they use, everything that they've done, whether it's the atom, they used it to kill a bunch of Japanese. They got DNA, now they're going to be using it to kill us. Any kind of data that they get, that they can use, they're going to make money, they're going to monetize it, they're going to militarize it, they're going to do whatever they can. So the thing is, we don't give them that kind of data. The folks that give them that data are the ones that have quote-unquote big platforms. That's why they allow those platforms, because they're like, anyone, I guarantee you this much, they've got over 1 million different types of image analyzation of Cynthia G out there, so that way they can tell what her children, if she ever has them, would look like, or others that may look like her, others that may walk, one, so they can market to other folks, so that way they can go ahead and say, well, look, we're going to use this for a security apparatus in case we need to see someone with that genealogical makeup that's hers. That, we're going to find out if she's related to such and such who did this. there's so much that folks do with this so-called data, for lack of a better term, that's why they have those so-called big platforms. That's why, because they need data. They need as much as they can get, and we call it intel in the security business. That's
Of
all these
course.
platforms are.
And it's
I'm
all
sorry?
going. It's all going to the Mossad, which is Israel.
Oh,
That's
yes, definitely. Yes.
of course. That's their charm. Well, why you think the ADL and SPLC these are arms for the Israeli intelligence, completely armed for them. They need, and then and tonight I can't wait for tonight's show with Guy Nollywood. If you thought this was bad, I'm ready to go off about that.
Yeah, hey, and let me say this because I know God's show gonna be in a little while. I'm let everybody go around and close out because this was a great show and I appreciate y'all brothers. Jose, you can go in and take as much say everything you gotta say and then close out, and then Emily too, and then Ben, since this was your show, I'm gonna let you close out last, and then everything else. So if there's anything else that you think we should have added in the show, what I'm saying, make sure y'all add that too. So.
Yep, I'll close out, and then I'll be back tonight when I'm doing my work, listening into Guy Nollywood's show. This is gonna be. I want this show. This show is the best to talk about the intelligence of Israel and its arm to the SPLC and the ADL. All right, let's start. Jose, you go ahead.
I was just typing it, and to underline what MG2 was saying, you cannot imagine what type of details they are gathering. I just gave two quote unquote stupid examples. The example that MG2 gave, Cynthia G. At a certain time, at a certain moment, they even know the frown of Cynthia G. That triggers our people, the tone of voice. So at a certain moment, they can make a photorealistic Messiah. With its own YouTube channel that have every feature that we are receptible to. You understand? So yes, it's very dangerous what we are doing unconsciously, and I mean I always, even if they are as sick as they are, I always speak in first person. They are sick, they have a personality disorder or a psychopath or whatever, but it are still our people. I'm not saying that we should embrace them, but they are our people. It's a source. They are data. For us, they are also data, and the data that they produce, we also can make information of it. You understand? So we are not victims. We can do what Zuckerberg is doing, but we won't sell it to the highest bidder, but we will share it in our shack, in our slave shack. I'm sorry. I'm a bit emotional, so I'm not thinking clear, and so I will keep it to this. I'm worried. I'm worried, man. I'm worried. But thank you for having me on the show.
I thank you, Jose. I appreciate you for coming on, my brother. And it's Jose, right? Because I don't want to say it wrong.
As I always say, call me Jay, because it's in my hip hop producer days it was JB. My email is JJB, my initials. But it's not that I don't care. I accept anything, because my name has always been an issue here in this country. When I see how it happens. I see my father going to the grammar school to subscribe me to the grammar school. I don't know how you call it. And I see these mofos. It's José, right? On the Cape Verde Islands, it's José. And I see these mofos think it's French. So in my school days, my name was Juzet, because that in French, when you pronounce that in French, that sounds like José. You know, so my name, it's been Garfield because of the way I look. It's been everything except Jose. You understand? So keep it how you want. You know, if it's Jose or what's how you pronounce it in the United States? Jose. Jose is okay, but I prefer J. I prefer J.
I got you, JB. It's cool, JB. I'm gonna say JB.
Okay, thank you.
All right, yo, thank you for coming on. MD2, thank you for coming on, my brother. I appreciate it.
I gotta thank you so much, brother Forecast, and Jose. I like that, JB. I like that even better. Man, you are such a breath of fresh air for me to learn stuff from in terms of computing and chips. Because when you brought up RISC-V, it just got me thinking in terms of some of the stuff that I learned back when I was programming for Motorola and Intel chips. And it just like, I mean, you sparked something out of me, JB, that I was like, oh yeah, now I'm starting to think, I remember I did that. Brother Forecast, I can't thank you enough because Brother Ben, I want to see success like there's none other for you. I mean, for you to reach whatever you can to make, I want your platform to circumvent everything that everyone's out there doing right now. That's my dream. Okay, so that way, because I told Brother Forecast a while back, Brother Forecast, you remind me of Lister Built Middleton. Hopefully you were able to watch him. And that to me is like, he to me was one of the highest honors of disseminating information for Black folk. Lister Built Middleton was like the king of it. And I got to thank you, Brother Forecast, for that. Brother Ben Uko, because we have these platforms in our slave shack, I hope that our slave shack will be with those of us who are going to do the real successful revolutions and rebellions, the kind of take up where Nat Turner took off. And this time, we're going to make it as complete as possible. On that note, thank you so much, guys. And I'm gonna be chiming in on Brother Guy's platform here in a minute as well. Y'all take care.
See you tonight.
All right, yeah, thanks, MD2. And yeah, we're going to definitely be over on God's channel. I'll put that in the chat and everybody's channel in the chat. And Ben, I'm going to put the Facebook, your Facebook.
I'll send you guys the Cash App too.
Yeah. And put it in the back chat so I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll do. Let me start talking now while I'm doing this. You guys, this is very important. We have to start doing this type of stuff. We gotta hold some people accountable. Because this media is ours. It belongs to us. And as the weeks go ahead, I am going to be able to do these things and start demanding some real answers. So, in this first one I'm giving you is my PayPal, okay? If you guys want to pay money into it right now, I'll pick it up. I'll give you the Cash App for money. Okay, here it is. Let me say this in these statements here today. It's very important that we control this. It's very important that monthly, if you really are with this cause, and I'll be on Guy Nollyhoods tonight, and I hope I can get on Brandon's show this week sometime. We gotta support what's good about us out here, because you gotta be so hard determination. Like I said, your votes aren't gonna be counted. Your vote is not counted. The only way we change things is to be serious about educating our future. And educating them is shut these schools down. Shut the schools down. I don't want to hear no reforming them, because there's nothing to reform them. You want us to innovate, want us to, you know what? We'll build our school centers. You know what? We'll utilize these community centers, and if we do, we're going to take over the schools. Because if you don't want to teach, we're going to close them until this is done. And that's how it's got to be. There's no reason for our children in Minneapolis or in St. Paul and other public schools to this day to be disrespected, to be shot at, and have no integrity. And it happened here in Richfield 2 weeks, like almost now 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. No reason for that child to die. I feel bad for that child's family because for the fact that we as adults did not do our job, didn't do anything to justify. It's that, you know what, I would have gone to that family. And somebody, I'm going to say, I'm going to give this like Jonathan. I want to talk to that family because I will say, you know what? I'm sorry. Your child did not deserve this. Your child did not deserve any of this. You deserve a better explanation. I have gone to that school. You know what? We did not finish what needed to be done. We were starting at the time I was in school, but things weren't done with those teachers and those administrators that did nothing for those children. Because if we would have shut that school down, there would have been some real changes. And for all the rest of y'all, like the rest of these leaders, like Keith Ellison, the rest of you, the ones that are out here, I want to talk to you guys for a second. I heard what happened with Dante Wright. I heard what happened with Keith Ellison. Killer cop, protector, cover up Philando Castile's murder, cover up all the police murders in Minneapolis and St. Paul, cover up being friends with the cop Joshua Aleko that was giving money, that was connected to this woman that's from family support on Churchill Galloway's. Covered up the murder, threw her man, killed their man, and threw her body inside of a dumpster. And there's some issues there. There's a whole nother area we can discuss. There's no way for it. There's no reason for this. These channels, my day is here. I'm here now. And there's no vacation, any other punishment for these people that cultivate themselves to be where they are. And that whole train for the police in Israel, which we're going to talk about tonight, shouldn't have been allowed. That child should not have been dead. Dante Wright should be living right now. That family shouldn't have gone through that thing. And now that brother that was killed here in Richmond should not have gone through I said it. If we want to build tech and want to build innovation for ourselves, these schools have to be shut down until that takes place. If not, the schools, because now they're going on strike. And this is great that we talk about. Minneapolis Public Schools is going on strike. Ain't that interesting now? Minneapolis and St. Paul schools, and you'll still send them. And now you're going to scramble? No. Shut all these schools down. And that's where real black excellence is. Real black excellence is not the ballot box. Real black excellence is not voting, shut the schools down, and cultivate the black family. Thank you.
All right, yeah, thank y'all, man, and thank all of y'all for coming in today. Ben, this was a great show, man. I'm glad you came through for the interview, and yeah, his information is in the platform. So we trying to build black platforms so we can get off of these platforms, so we not controlled by Polish kike bitches who be blocking all the time. So we can control who we allow and what they say about us and what we do. You know,
yeah, the website's on here too.
Huh?
The website's on here too.
You said what? Say that again, Ben.
The website's on the private chat.
Okay. Let me put that in the chat. Zone103.com. So make sure y'all visit and support Ben. I got his Cash App and all of that stuff in there. And we definitely facts. So we got to shut them down, put them out of business. We can't complain about what other people is doing if we're not going to build our own. So, you know, it's important to have conversations like this. And I called it the new architects, you know what I'm saying? And you can just think about it. I know there's a lot of people that like the Matrix and stuff like that, right? You know, and everybody know what the architect does, you know. So we need to start being our own architects of our own realities and building the platforms that we need. But I want to thank all of y'all for coming, Ben, MD2, JB, and everybody in the chat, Matilda, Bakari, you know, everybody, Brother Raw, not brother. I mean Brother Supremacy, Raw, and everybody else in the chat. So I appreciate it. My brother Bakari said he about to do a live in a few minutes, so that'll probably be leading up into my brother Guy's show later tonight, where he gonna be talking about what all of those stuff, those those cakes be doing. And maybe I shouldn't go because I can't promise I won't be disrespectful to them. So it is what it is. But I'm definitely gonna be tuning in, and I'm gonna tune in to my brother Bakari channel. I put his channel in the chat, so make sure y'all go subscribe and go join his channel and check out his live that's coming up right now. And again, thanks all of y'all for coming on here. And man, this is conversations, I mean, whether we like it or not. I mean, I know we wasn't on here cussing each other out and arguing and talking about hurting or killing each other or coming to each other places or dissing each other. We was talking about stuff that's important for us to have our own platforms, not only our own platform but our own nation. We can't build it if we don't know nothing about math, we don't know nothing about science, if we have to allow other people to control every aspect of our lives. And these are important aspects that we have no other choice but to get in control of, and we have to network with each other to build. So support my brother Ben. Hit his PayPal or Cash App. I'm gonna donate what I can, my brother. So I'm gonna do that right after we get off of here. Thank you, JB. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.